Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app. Tune in, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
Israel is not a racist state. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Those are the words in a resolution the House will vote on today, supporting Israel after a progressive Democrat caused a stir over the weekend when Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal said at a Netroots Nation conference
that Israel is a racist state, that the Palestinian people deserve self-determination and autonomy.
43 other House Democrats put out a statement calling those comments anti-Semitic and dangerous.
Well, she goes on to apologize then on Sunday, writing that words do matter, and so it is important that I clarify my statement. I do not believe the idea of Israel as a nation is racist. She then accuses Prime Minister Netanyahu of, quote, racist policies.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Today, Israel's President Isaac Herzog goes to the White House to meet with President Biden. Tomorrow, he'll address Congress. There's a hearing today in the Trump classified documents case, the first one since the former president pleaded not guilty to 37 criminal charges. It'll focus on how to deal with the classified evidence. He wants the trial delayed till after the 2024 election. Iowa is the latest abortion battleground as the ACLU and Planned Parenthood went around in court.
An Iowa judge has temporarily blocked the state's new ban on most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. This only just days after Governor Kim Reynolds signed the measure into law. This means abortion is once again legal in Iowa up to 20 weeks of pregnancy while the courts take a look at the new law's constitutionality.
Fox's John Saucier. Much of the South will bake again today. Heat advisories or warnings stretch from Southern California to Florida with triple-digit temperatures or heat indexes.
There's really no end in sight.
National Weather Service meteorologist Bob Orvek. Phoenix could set a record, topping 110 degrees for the 19th straight day. You didn't wake up filthy rich, but don't worry, no one else won the Powerball jackpot either. So tomorrow night it rises to $1 billion, seventh largest lottery prize ever. America's listening to Fox News.
63 degrees. It's 5:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. This morning, a convenience store was heavily damaged by flames in the Edgewater community. The fire spread to two storefronts on Thorndale and Winthrop Avenues. Firefighters were able to stop the flames from moving into apartments above the stores. A teen is among several hurt after a vehicle crashes into a sub shop in Hinsdale. Police say a 14-year-old was struck by the vehicle outside of Fontenot's yesterday before it crashed into the eatery. The teen was taken to Hinsdale Hospital, then transported to Comer Children's in serious condition. 3 inside the restaurant were hospitalized in serious condition as well, while another customer was treated and released. Police say the driver, who was not hurt, was leaving a parking lot across the street when the accident occurred. Authorities haven't decided whether the driver will face charges. A man is in critical condition, shot by police in Joliet. Authorities say officers were called out yesterday to the 600 block of Elmwood Avenue on reports of shots fired. Officers encountered a man walking with a handgun. Officers then shot the armed man. The incident is under investigation. The FAA is investigating after debris from a United Airlines flight was found in the backyard of a Chicago home. Authorities say a plane arriving from Switzerland landed safely, but maintenance workers discovered the plane was missing an emergency evacuation slide. That slide was later found in a yard in the 4700 block of North Chester. Federal judge is dismissing a bribery charge against ComEd in a case that led to the indictment of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. The charge against the utility giant was dropped yesterday as part of a deferred prosecution agreement. Republican State Representative Ryan Spain says the $200 million fine the utility paid does not offset the $2 billion the company got for shareholders.
I think it's a small drop in the bucket, what they had to pay, and I worry it sends the wrong message to entities throughout the state of Illinois that you can do wrong, pay a small fine, and continue to do your business.
ComEd agreed to cooperate with a sweeping federal probe and pay a $200 million fine. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx has released a list of police officers who will not be called to testify in criminal cases. because of investigations and allegations against the officers. The do not call list includes 147 current and former officers who have faced allegations of misconduct. A large majority of them, 120, are Chicago police officers. Chicago sports, Cubs gave up 11 hits in a 7-5 loss to the Nationals at Wrigley Field. Skipper David Ross says the team needs to be better at the plate.
Get the top of we get Saya going, get some of those guys going. We've gotten pretty good production from the bottom as of late. We just got as a total offense, got to continue to have some better production.
White Sox will try and stay hot when they visit the Mets at Citi Field tonight. Connor Bedard officially signs his Blackhawks contract on his 18th birthday yesterday. The news, a service of Tom Mirabali Insurance, independent Blue Cross and Blue Shield agent with access to many major medical carriers. Let Tom help you today. Save money on your premiums. Get started at healthplanchicago.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka.
She'd emailed top secret government documents on a completely unsecure network. So this felonious league is actually damaging to who? The people who actually committed crimes.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My name is Demi, and I did my first home purchase with Townstone Financial. The biggest difference between Townstone and the bigger banks that we went to was that at Townstone, Barry was really straightforward. He ran the numbers, and he made it happen. With the bigger banks, I feel like they kept giving me a runaround. We didn't have a lot of money in our checking and savings. Townstone Financial was the only bank that we reached out to that was able to find us a program that worked for us.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
It's 5:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Lowe's. MVP bonus days are back at Lowe's. Right now, save $60 when you buy a DeWalt Impact driver or drill for just $99 each. Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 8/2. I-55 exit ramp construction problems. Southbound, right at Route 126. That ramp is closed until 6 a.m., causing some light delays. Stevenson inbound, already jamming up Ashland into the Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
It'll be partly sunny today. We do have an air quality alert in effect. Our high today, 80. Clear tonight, low 63. Sun and clouds, more humidity tomorrow, the high 84. Shower and thunderstorm, breezy and warm on Thursday, the high 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
63 O'Hare, 68 Lakefront, 64 Midway, 58 in Lansing. Lake Michigan water temp, 70. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth. There aren't many people who would knowingly leave their job to start another job for a 30% cut in pay. And yet, people do it every day when they enter retirement. Why enter the exciting new chapter of your life with less money? Why trade the stress of work for more stress in retirement? Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help. Just call Tom at 630-934-1855 for your complimentary, customized retirement. It addresses many of the big questions you may have, like what to do about Social Security, managing your investments, and how to create income you can never outlive. You can downsize your house, but don't downsize your lifestyle. Get a complimentary, customized retirement plan at 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, RWA, an SEC registered investment advisor. RWA and Alpha Wealth Group are independent of each other. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be due to low testosterone. Schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for $155 a month, cash pay, or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near Low T Center, or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hi, I'm Randy Donnelly.
And I'm Susan from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois.
We're the hosts of the Donnelly Auctions Hour every Saturday at 1 p.m. here on AM 560.
There is no show like it in the Chicagoland area.
We talk about antiques of all kinds.
And we can help you sell your antiques.
We have great items and the buyers for every collection.
To find out more, go to DonnellyAuctions.com and listen Saturdays at 1 p.m. for the Donnelly Auctions Hour, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim, attorney at law, is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
Ever notice how most people never leave online reviews unless they're really mad? And they want the entire world to know how bad their experience was. Rick from Forever Remodeling here, and we average 4.8 stars on 144 Google reviews. I know what you're thinking. Sure, 132 people gave you 5 stars, but what about those 12 who didn't? Glad you asked. 3 of them are 1-star reviews from people we never even did business with. Most of the rest are 4-star reviews from people who loved us and said things like, "We are thrilled and would recommend Forever Remodeling to anyone." So why only 4 stars? One customer sums it up, "I only gave 4 stars because I never give 5. Fair enough, I guess. Google foreverremodeling.com and see for yourself. The reviews are all right there. We do kitchens, baths, basements, whole homes, and additions. Check us out at foreverremodeling.com or call 847-809-3355. That's foreverremodeling.com.
This is Dennis Prager. Now you can listen to my show when it's convenient for you and without censorship from big tech. Become a member of the ultimate online community for all things Prager. It's Pragertopia Unlimited. Listen to every radio show over the last 10 years, all commercial free. You can even listen to all my Torah teachings for free. Join today and save 25% off the first year and get a free Pragertopia coffee mug. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Why are you harassing Twitter? Jim Jordan asked Federal Trade Commission Chair Lena Khan at a House Judiciary Committee hearing last week. That harassment began when Elon Musk brought journalists into Twitter to expose the federal government's censorship regime. The FTC tried to demand that Musk reveal his contacts with reporters in December after the first publication of the Twitter files, arguing that it could violate a consent decree protecting customer data. Now, an analyst at Ernst & Young has testified that the FTC attempted to pressure him into a negative report on Twitter to justify punitive action. Twitter parent X Corporation filed a motion last week to terminate the consent order over this corruption, leading to Jordan's question during the hearing. We now know that the censorship empire will not go quietly. A federal judge put a temporary halt to the federal government's suppression of speech and dissent this month. The FTC has shown its colors as Big Brother's enforcer, providing us a warning that authoritarians do not retreat easily. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
A few days ago, I was fortunate to attend Family Day on the USS Bush, which had just returned from a 9-month deployment. My son's squadron had deployed with the Bush, one of many fleets, divisions, and groups sent around the world to project American power and defend American interests. While there are many positions surrounding the use of American forces, what is indisputable is that our military strength is the result of our innovators, skilled labor, manufacturers, and of course, our American fighting men and women. Walking that ship, it is hard to imagine how it all came together. A floating city of over 5,000 with all the infrastructure of a portable airport, weapon systems, power generation, communications, maintenance, an aircraft hangar, barracks, food, laundry, and even a barber shop, working 24/7 every day of the year. You want to be impressed with America? Take a tour if you get the chance. I'm Jeannie Ives. Good public policy begins by being informed. Sign up for our newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba. Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right. Your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our Health Quest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now. 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The continued fallout from 2.5 years of COVIDian authoritarianism, the quality of life, the cost of lives, the cost in dollars, the fraud we've talked about before. Let's talk about it again because there's some updates, both nationally and locally.
Good, and I got a story for you, too, about a nurse I met yesterday who quit during COVID, and I'll tell you why.
SBA report, tens of thousands of fraudsters splurged on Lamborghinis, vacation homes, private jet flights, Cartier jewelry by fleecing the PPP loan system. The fraud was so easy to commit. All of the information was self-reported. None of it was verified or checked, said Haywood Telcove of LexisNexis Risk Solutions. During the height of the pandemic, it was really hard to purchase luxury items like a Rolls-Royce or a high-end Mercedes because you had people walking in with cash from the PPP program to purchase those items for whatever the dealer was asking.
Of course.
The SBA IG, Inspector General for Small Business Administration, conducted a review to provide an estimate of the potential fraud in the pandemic assistance loan programs. This would include the $1.2 trillion of economic injury disaster loans, as well as the Paycheck Protection Program funds. They conclude they estimate the SBA dispersed more than $200 billion in, so about 15%, in potentially fraudulent COVID-19 funds. That's not, that $200 billion, that's just for the SBA monitored funding, the PPP and the economic injury disaster loans.
Okay.
And we talked about before, once you start including the relief checks, the stimulus checks, as Nancy Pelosi would call them, you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars more. And remember, thinking back on this, let's keep our historical perspective. Let's keep the events straight in our mind. Supported the PPP program once the decision was made to lock down because it was a taking. But the point of this is the taking should have never happened in the first place. And if you thought, oh, the taking is no big deal because I'm being compensated for the taking, well, again, you find out what a big deal it was. The impact it had on inflation, so the ongoing increase in prices you're paying for goods and services, in addition to the fraud that was committed, because government doesn't do big things, especially big things that are set up quickly, very well, does it?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. They were sending us checks while we were still working. Never understood that one. I understood the EBT cards because the kids weren't getting fed at school. But they're throwing money at us. And you knew people were being fraudulent with it because it was a government taking. It's like, oh, I'm going to get my little piece of the pie. And they're thieves. And you know who else is a fraud? Hospitals. I met a nurse yesterday who worked at a local hospital here. She quit after 20 years. And I said, why? Because of COVID? And she said, no, because I did the paperwork. And somebody would die of cancer. And they'd say, no, Susan, put down that they died from COVID so that we got the extra funds. And she also didn't like the way they treated people that came in, intubating them. She said, you put an obese person in their 30s or 40s, you intubate them, and the pressure of their weight of their body crushed the tube, and that's why people were dying. She walked out. Sick of the fraud. So hospitals, there should be an audit on every single hospital in America because they hyped up the COVID numbers so that they could get more money.
Also, on the fraud piece of it, because some people still operate under this, to borrow from Ambrose Bierce, this fallacy that private vice becomes public virtue when someone goes into the public sector. Oh, the government. The good-natured, well-intentioned government that doesn't have to worry about the messiness of being bottom-line sensitive. They're in the business of public service. There are betters. Listen to the experts in government. Listen to the people of higher moral fiber in the government. 5 Cook County employees defrauded the federal COVID-19 relief program of more than $240,000, falsely claiming they own companies that struggled during the pandemic. Over the past year, 20 other county workers were also suspected of defrauding the federal Paycheck Protection Program, according to the IG there. Imagine that. Cook County actually has an inspector general. They include 3 high-ranking county officials, including one in the county's Human Resources Office, a payroll supervisor in the comptroller's office, and a director in the health department. Suspected of stealing more than $700,000 in PPP money. The IG recommended each be fired. All have been fired or resigned, but we don't know about any criminal prosecutions here. And isn't that a whole nother matter? The lackadaisical approach to law enforcement here, unless they're slam dunks and they're particular opportunities for padding stats for particular U.S. attorneys, because this is federal funds, you're not seeing a lot of high-profile prosecutions because we don't want to admit that we ran a system that was poorly managed and subject to this level of fraud. Hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud.
And remember all those COVID pop-up sites? They're popping up like Halloween stores in October, just, vacant building, vacant convenience store. Well, they have yet to be prosecuted, and they were charging people $70 to $100 to get a COVID test that really wasn't a COVID test. Everybody was getting a little piece of the pie.
They should be prosecuted for what? I'm sorry?
Fraud. I mean, they're charging money and not returning test results. There's 4 stores in Chicago that were busted right away.
Oh, yes, right.
Well, not right away. They had to investigate, but people got, false. I don't know if they got false negatives or false positives. I don't know what this disbursement of test results were, but they were fraudulent companies.
The ongoing fallout and the costs that you bear, since we underwrite everything the federal government does. A report last week from the GAO, Government Accountability Office. These are almost hilariously titled agencies, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
The average headquarter of a federal agency, about 20% occupied each week. Finding based on surveys conducted within 24 agencies between January and March, the headquarters are a small share of the federal government's 511 million square feet of office space. So they're, sampling to get a sense of what the larger dynamic is. The near uniform emptiness across different agencies is another way the government stands out. Weekly attendance in the bottom quarter of surveyed offices is a measly 9%, and not one reported attendance above 50%. Compare that with corporate offices in New York, where average in-office attendance surpassed 50% last month. So again, you don't have to be bottom line sensitive. We don't have to worry about rent, and the landlord doesn't have to worry about rent because the government has unlimited funds. So it's the different world that you can live in when you're a government employee, when you're a public sector contractor or beneficiary, land leaser to the leasees from the federal government, and you just compare and contrast all this extra space. That seems to me would be an opportunity, the space that's going unused, an opportunity to maybe have a discussion about, maybe we should right-size the real estate holdings of the federal government or the leases the federal government imposes on the taxpayers. Maybe we should think about reducing the footprint of these agencies, both in terms of space as well as headcount. I mean, I know that's not going to happen in this administration, but it seems to me that the impact that terrible policies under COVID had is an opportunity to have a discussion about shrinking the size and scope and expanse of Leviathan. It's unfortunate that more Republicans don't want to take up that charge. So many aspects of this, which is why no amnesty, and we're not moving on. I mean, we're moving on because we're going to live our lives, but we're not moving on from the pointing out what occurred and the impact that it had. Because, well, not only will they do it again, they're in the process of doing it again across so many issues. More on this. Just updating. Because I assume most people would at least say they don't like to be lied to. I know that in reality, a lot of people like to be told beautiful lies by their betters in the public sector, because confronting reality and its complications, having to think through things to problem solve, that's a bridge too far for many. I understand. A new email proves Tony Fauci knew in early 2020 that China was running risky coronavirus research, and a lab leak had likely caused the pandemic.
Then why lie to us this whole time?
February 1st, 2020, a note written by Tony Fauci indicates that he knew and NIH knew, and we've had indications of this before, but let's continue piling up the evidence that there was, dare I say, gain-of-function experiments being done in Wuhan, and that a lab leak likely was the source of the outbreak, because, of course, you were doing something that didn't otherwise occur in nature. Fauci's email, writes Alex Berenson over at his Substack. He's still on it, and we're appreciative that he is. Fauci's email is contained in a devastating new federal report shows political factors influenced the search for the origins of the coronavirus even before the search really began. And just, again, reflecting on this a bit, keeping you up to speed, this was a conversation Rand Paul had with a reporter from Axios on the gain of function admission by NIH in October of 21. So here we are, almost a year and a half later, and now we're getting these additional revelations. And, of course, they're being underreported, if not ignored, in toto.
I think that people across the country are very disturbed at how much he's lied, basically, that he's in charge of the entire thing. In hearings. Yeah, we're still going at it. We have brand new news today, that says that the NIH is now admitting that there was gain-of-function research there, and he lied about it.
Yeah, so this is a letter from the National Institutes of Health to Congress, and it acknowledges funding research in Wuhan that you and Dr. Fauci had gone at it about.
Right. And so in the letter, they acknowledge that, yes, the viruses did gain in function. They became more dangerous. So they've created a virus that doesn't exist in nature. It's become more dangerous. That is gain of function. Now, they try to justify it by saying, well, it was an unexpected result. I'm not sure I would buy that. Think about it. You take an unknown virus, you combine it with another virus, and you get a super virus. You have no idea whether it gains functions or loses function. That's what the experiment is. But I don't know how anybody could argue that that's not gain-of-function research.
And just to be clear, as Berenson reports, the National Institute of Health hid Fauci's words, completely redacting the email he had written from FOIA requests. The NIH gave up the note only in response to a House of Representatives subpoena. You've got this coronavirus subcommittee years after Fauci wrote it, far too late. And then, again, the accountability for Fauci, just like we talk about the accountability for the FBI, the accountability for all those intelligence, deep state, if you will, personnel that penned the Hunter laptop Russian disinformation campaign letter. If it's not professional, if it's not legal, I should say, accountability is appropriate, at least professional accountability. And instead, they're rewarded or they're given a pass. And it continues, which is why we need to continue to stay on the job. And we will.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of fraudulent goings on, this massive billion-dollar payout to Black and Latino teachers in New York State at 5:38.
And later, the ladies at The View, Dan, come up with a ridiculous story on who left the blow at the White House. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
5:33 is our time, 63 degrees this morning. A convenience store was heavily damaged by flames in the Edgewater neighborhood. Firefighters were able to stop flames from moving to the apartments above. The first pretrial hearing in the classified documents case against former President Donald Trump is set for today in Florida. Fox's Tanya J. Powers.
Today is expected to bring the first courtroom arguments in the case against former President Donald Trump, who is accused of mishandling classified documents. Conference is set to discuss the procedures for handling classified information. The former president was indicted 5 weeks ago, and special focus has been on presiding U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon, a Trump appointee. Lawyers on both sides are at odds over the trial date, with prosecutors proposing a December trial date, and the Trump lawyers saying it should be put off until after the 2024 presidential election. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Millions of U.S. military emails have been accidentally sent to Mali because of a typo. Emails that were supposed to go to the military's .mil domain have been instead sent to the .ml domain for the African nation and Russian ally. None of the emails contain top secret or classified information, but did contain sensitive information, and the issue's been going on for years. The Pentagon warned by a Dutch businessman who has a contract to manage Mali's domain. Iowa's new law that outlaws abortion once a heartbeat is detected is on hold. A judge has granted a request for a temporary injunction. Governor Kim Reynolds says the state will appeal. Powerball jackpot stands at $1 billion after there was no grand prize winner in Monday's big drawing. That cash option would have worked out to nearly $517 million. A teen is among several hurt after a vehicle crashes into a sub shop in Hinsdale. The 14-year-old was hit by a vehicle outside of Fontano's yesterday before it crashed into the eatery. The teen was taken to Hinsdale Hospital, then Comer Children's, in critical condition. 3 others inside the restaurant remain hospitalized in serious condition. Cubs gave up 11 hits and a 7-5 loss to the Nationals at Wrigley. White Sox take on the Mets at Citi Field. The news, a service of MyPillow. Big news. MyPillow employees want to thank you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. Queen-size MyPillows, regular price $69.98, now only $19.98 with promo code LIBERTY. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The best conversations happen with a cigar in one hand and a fine drink in the other. Join Dennis Prager live in Chicago for Cigar Night on Thursday, August 24th at Klein Creek Golf Club in Winfield. Presented by Wilkins Mazda and Wilkins Hyundai in Elmhurst. Dennis will be joined by AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson for an evening of cigar smoking and good conversation. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by healthinsurancementors.com and by Blue Star Security.
If you'd like information about the many amazing benefits of reverse mortgage loans, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Attention anyone at least 62, those with parents at least 62, family law attorneys and financial planners. Reverse mortgages are amazing loans for experienced homeowners wanting to enhance their monthly cash flow by deferring mortgage payments and accessing their home's equity tax-free to make safety enhancements to their homes and pay for real estate taxes, food, electric, transportation, and in-home elderly care. To inform listeners about this amazing mortgage option for experienced homeowners, Team Hochberg would like to send you a complimentary reverse mortgage informational packet. Let's review. If you're 62, have parents at least 62, family law attorneys and financial planners, and would like an informational package about all the amazing benefits of reverse mortgages, give me a call at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com, 855-563-2843, or visit our website 56david.com. Lower LLC, Equal Housing Lender, MLS 1124061.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually, speeding catches up with you.
538. Let's get an update on the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. On the roads, Kennedy stop and go between Austin and Montrose. Right now, 26 in from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike inbound 27, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson inbound 27 in from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Stop and go on the Tri-State northbound between North Avenue and the Grand Avenue curve. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny, pleasant day, high near 80, clear and 63 overnight. 63 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know how when the Saudis bought the PGA Tour, they call that sports washing? What do they call this? Union washing by the government? Teachers union washing? New York City has settled with a group of black and Latino teachers for $1.8 billion. You thought the Fox Dominion settlement was lunacy. $1.8 billion. Approximately 5,200 black and Hispanic former and aspiring teachers will receive part of a massive legal payout from New York City after courts determined their licensing exams violated civil rights.
Oh, come on.
These are the claim that was originally filed in a lawsuit by teachers almost 30 years ago, 1996. The exam was what? Say it with me. Culturally biased. More than 90% of white applicants passed the multiple choice and essay test, while black applicants only passed 53% of the time, and Hispanic applicants received passing scores 50% of the time. So if there's any disparity by racial group, it must mean it's culturally biased. Racism, systemic racism, of course, must be afoot. $1.8 billion.
They don't even have that kind of money to pay off.
225 people who failed the liberal arts and sciences test used for teacher licensing between 1994 and 2014 had received settlements of at least $1 million each.
What? This is even a worse money grab than COVID.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. So this litigation has been going on for decades, which is also an indictment of the court systems, by the way, both state and federal, because both were involved here. In 2018, though, New York City had elected a Sandinistan mayor named Bill de Blasio,
who now has an open marriage with his wife.
Yeah.
Just in case you missed that.
What's his real name again? Kaiser Wilhelm or something like that?
Yeah.
De Blasio began setting aside money to pay off the identitarian mob and the teachers union. This is a straight up payment, political payment, isn't it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And if you don't think it is, get ready, because the precedent this sets, who do you think is going to be right behind New York City? Right here.
Chicago.
We had a basic skills test for a long time. It just got eliminated about 4 years ago.
Well, what about the entrance exam for firefighters or police officers?
Well, I suppose
for any union job.
I suppose you could argue any exam where that produces public sector exam that produces disparate results is by definition biased. Although you also have an affirmative action Supreme Court case now in force that makes that a little bit more complicated. We'll see.
And I'm not being racist here, but if they didn't pass the exam, then they shouldn't be teaching. Is that bad? to say something like that. I mean,
It's obvious.
53% of the blacks, 50% of Hispanics didn't pass the liberal arts portion of it.
There's probably a lot of teachers. There's probably a lot of individuals who did pass who shouldn't be teachers. Brooklyn principal, the standards are the standards. It shouldn't be based on what would be easy for blacks or whites. To hire people who are not qualified and change the requirements because a certain group didn't pass the test is bull jive. Yeah, expensive too. This happened. This happened in Illinois, in Chicago, when the State Board of Education ratcheted up the requirements for the basic skills test that teachers had to pass to get their teaching license to be able to teach in Illinois schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's what they did that resulted in lower passage rates across the board, but there's racial disparity, and the push to eliminate the basic skills test, which of course happened. Can't pass the basic skills test, well,
get rid of it.
Exactly. The students, and this was to get into educational colleges as well, Illinois State Board of Education. Students had to get 75% on the math and 85% in reading and language arts. Writing was rated on a 12-point scale. Candidates had to get an 8 up from a 5 in order to get entrance into an education college. Well, what happened was the number of candidates who passed the exam, when they increased the thresholds to those numbers I just gave you, dropped by a factor of 4. 22% overall, the number of candidates for education colleges at Illinois State colleges and universities. 3% of black test takers passed, 7% of Latinos.
Oof.
And so we started, this has been part of, and this has been going on for a long time. So when you have racial disparity in outcomes, when you set only 45% of test takers overall passed, fewer than half. Education colleges, notoriously the worst students at the post-secondary level. That's just the numbers. Sorry. This is why. Because once you start having standards and you have students that are unprepared to meet those standards, then you just eliminate the standards. That's what the left does. Because identitarianism is a brain-eating disorder. And you see that now manifesting itself in K through 12 schools. We went through the report cards thanks to the analysis done by our friends over at WirePoints, and even those schools and rich enclaves that you think are the standard for K through 12 education,
like New Trier,
Hinsdale Central, Barrington, in terms of students doing math and reading at grade level, they're all in and these are significantly better than obviously CPS and some other schools, but they're still all like in the mid to high 60s at best. $1 million, $1.8 billion payout.
That's crazy.
And you don't think that, and we're looking at teachers 1994 to 2014, over a 20-year period, litigation that took almost 30 years. You don't think that there are trial lawyers willing to take up the cause of any teacher who didn't get her teaching certificate to be able to teach at any school in Chicagoland? If they're black or Latino, they're not going to be right behind playing jackpot justice? Why wouldn't they? Bob in Buffalo Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. With regards to your teachers, question for you. After they get their teacher's license, what requirements are there to keep their skill set up to date? Are there any other testing or requirements that they have? I, being a former engineer, when I had to redo my license, I had to take special courses in order to redo the license. And then a really strange thing that they instituted for me recently was ethics requirements, that I had to prove taking an ethics course or passing an exam in engineering ethics. So what do teachers have to do to show they still have their skills?
They have to show up on Teachers Institute Day, sit around and talk about lesson plans. I mean, the continuing education requirements in different professions varies widely. I mean, continuing legal education is a joke. That's just pro forma. You got to do it to maintain, but that's just part of like the cartel operating like a cartel. I'm talking about the American Bar Association and associated bar associations. That's just that. That's just sort of giving the appearance of professionalism. Oh, I'm up to date on my continuing legal education. Oh boy, what does that mean? Not much. I look at work product, but $1.8 billion. It's funny. Just as a reminder, median household income in the United States by ethnic group. And this is at the time, so this is like a survey the U.S. Census Bureau did between 2013 and 2015. So I pulled this because this is the cohort we're talking about, 1994 to 2014. So in 2015, what did median household income look like by ethnic group in Illinois? I mean, in the country, I should say. Speaking of culturally, what's the phrase? Culturally discriminatory.
Culturally biased.
Yeah, culturally biased environment tests. So back then, and I doubt it's changed very much because the spreads are pretty big. Indian Americans, $100,000 median household income in the United States, number one with a bullet. Filipinos next at 83. Taiwanese Americans, 82.5. Sri Lankan Americans, 74. Japanese Americans, 72. Malaysian Americans, 70. Chinese Americans, 69. Pakistani Americans, 66. Oh, honkies, 59. All right, so where do honkies go to claim cultural bias that allows Indian Americans to make almost double what they make? I mean, you see how stupid this identitarianism is and how obscene a payout like New York City just orchestrated with a mayor who, by the way, is a symbol for black manhood in America.
Oh, we should play that again.
One
thinks very highly of himself, doesn't he?
I know, because he said so. I mean, that is a straight up transfer payment from government to the teachers' unions and to the identitarian mob. This has nothing to do with the test. It's just an opportunity. It's almost like reparations by other means. It's obscene, and this is like not getting any coverage.
But how could they? I mean, don't they have a conscience? Don't they have
a conscience? Jim and
would
LaGrange
never be able to take that money. No way.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, Dan. Stupid does pay, and this is a reparations play. So with you just stating I'm going to go a different direction. Remember when Dean Wormer told John Belushi, drunk, fat, and stupid is no way to go through life? Well, there's the stupid part covered for you. Have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Jim.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mick McDonnell, co-founder of Configure One, the global leader in configure, price, and quote software for manufacturers, and a new customer of Signature Bank. Configure One recently came to Signature Bank for a loan under the Paycheck Protection Program after our previous business bank of 20 years left us out in the cold. When I called Signature, I worked directly with one of the founders of the bank, who assured me that my application would be submitted immediately. 1 week later, my loan was approved and funded, and I moved my entire banking relationship to Signature. Signature Bank is incredibly responsive, fully transparent, and a great partner for my business.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. It's the Season of Discovery Sales event at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Dan Proft here. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, You need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. No games, no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time incentives that only come around once a year. You can lease a 2023 Mazda CX-30 for $412 a month, or a 2023 Mazda CX-5 for $410 a month for 36 months, with approved credit through Mazda Capital Services for qualified buyers. Just add license, title, tax, and the $324.24 dock fee. Plus, stop in today and ask about the all-new 2024 Mazda CX-90. And to keep your Mazda running great all year round, schedule your next service appointment online at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda is conveniently located in Elmhurst off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com. See dealer for details.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I ran this by my doctor. I always run it by her, everything I take, and I told her I've been taking this for a while. Is this okay to take? She goes, oh, this is wonderful for you to take. Keep taking it. She goes, I approve this. This is very good. So she said, yes. She said, this is one thing you can take that's very good. I'm not going to stop taking Balance of Nature.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Turbulent times call for clear-headed insight. That's hard to come by these days, especially on TV. That's where we come in. The new Salem News Channel, the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. Home to the people you trust. Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Refreshingly honest, always unfiltered. Streaming free on your TV 24/7. Intelligent analysis for intelligent people. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
AM 560, The Answer.
Got a bit of a show theme this morning, debunking frauds. Here's another one. Those plant-based meals you silly vegans are always yakking about. Here's a farmer explaining,
what's in it?
The death toll associated with your plant-based diet. This is good.
Oh, I can't wait.
You have to look at how many things died for you to have your plant-based meal. And as a small farmer, as a guy who has a regenerative farm in Canada, when a tractor goes through a field full of corn or soy, which is what your Impossible whatevers are made out of, or your oat milk and all that stuff, if it's still not just sterilized farmland, there'll be salamanders, turtles, bunnies, mice, shrew, butterflies, ladybugs, and all the other ugly ones you don't want to think about. But they get chopped up by the tractor, and then birds come through and just eat all the animal carcasses that powered your oat milk. So,
oopsies.
In another version of reality, you could do what I do, which is I raise grass-fed cows and sheep and pigs that don't just eat grass, they eat a bunch of other stuff. But unless the cow stepped on a frog and that cow eats grass, nothing dies in the creation of that cow. And that cow, if I eat a pound of meat a day, it's going to last me for probably a year and a half. So my deaths per calorie from eating ribeye is 0.001 deaths from my ribeye. And your stupid oat milk has 1,000 dead creatures who died for the making of your animal safe stupid beverage that gives you diabetes and steals minerals from your bones.
Stupid vegans. I love the disdain. To borrow from Ingrid Newkirk, that lunatic who's the head of PETA, which is an organization for people out of their minds.
Yes, we know.
And the ignorant, combination of the two. The sentimental barbarian. What's the phrase? A Holocaust on your plate. Remember that campaign? These nuts over at there. Well, the real Holocaust on your plate, to borrow from Ingrid Newkirk, is
your plant-based.
Your plant-based
burger.
Yeah, your Impossible whatever. Love it.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well. We got to turn our attention to Northwestern again. There's more developments in the football and baseball saga. You know, that coach who was sometimes distant and didn't share his feelings? He got fired, too, along with Pat Fitzgerald. 6:06.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom and catch up on the news from here at home and around the world. Here's Mike Scott.
A teen and several others hurt after a car crashes into a Hinsdale sub shop. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Another Trump loss in court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Georgia's Supreme Court, in a unanimous ruling, rejected the former president's attempt to block a district attorney from bringing any charges against him after a grand jury in Georgia's investigation into Trump attempts to overturn that state's 2020 election results. Today, in federal court in Miami,
the first courtroom arguments in the case against former President Donald Trump, who is accused of mishandling classified documents. A pretrial conference is set to discuss the procedures for handling classified information. The former president was indicted 5 weeks ago.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Now, the former president claims he did nothing wrong, is being politically persecuted, and he wants the trial pushed back till after the 2024 election. President Biden meets today with Israel's President Isaac Herzog, who will address Congress tomorrow. Amid the controversy, progressive Democrat Jamila Priapal stirred up, calling Israel a racist state Saturday, then Sunday walking it back, saying it's the policies of Prime Minister Netanyahu that are racist against Palestinians. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says
she's not just elected as a Democrat in their conference, she is a leader of their caucuses. And she's making these comments.
43 other House Democrats condemned Congresswoman Jayapal's comments, and today the House plans to pass a pro-Israel resolution. It's going to be another sweltering day in much of the South and Southwest. Heat advisories or warnings stretch from California to Florida.
I can confirm it does feel like you're being roasted out here.
Fox Weather's Max Gordon's in Vegas.
We saw temperatures of around 116 here in Las Vegas. The National Weather Service telling people to stay out of the sun during the heat of the day. Cooling shelters are open across Clark County, but that hasn't stopped folks from getting out on the Strip.
In Phoenix, they could set a record topping 110 degrees in 19th straight day. And we all struck out again. Nobody won the big Powerball jackpots. It'll go to $1 billion tomorrow night. America's listening to Fox News.
Sunshine, 63 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. This morning, a convenience store was heavily damaged by flames in the Edgewater community. 2 storefronts went up in flames on Thorndale and Winthrop Avenues. Flames were able to be stopped from moving into apartments above the stores. A teen and several others were hurt after a vehicle crashes into a sub shop in Hinsdale. The 14-year-old was struck by a vehicle outside of Fontano's yesterday before it crashed into the eatery. The teen was taken to Hinsdale Hospital, then Comer Children's Hospital in critical condition, while 3 others inside the restaurant remain hospitalized in serious condition. Authorities haven't yet decided whether the driver will face charges. The FAA investigating after debris from a United Airlines flight was found in the backyard of a Chicago home. A plane arriving from Switzerland landed safely but was missing an emergency evacuation slide. It was later found in a yard. Federal judge dismissing a bribery charge against ComEd in a case that led to the indictment of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. The charge was dropped as part of a deferred prosecution agreement. Republican State Representative Ryan Spain says the $200 million fine the utility paid doesn't offset the $2 billion the company got for their shareholders.
I think it's a small drop in the bucket, what they had to pay, and I worry it sends the wrong message to entities throughout the state of Illinois that you can do wrong, pay a small fine, and continue to do your business.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing 8 former Northwestern University football players taking legal action against the school over claims they were subject to hazing. Cubs lost to the Nationals 7-5. White Sox battle the Mets tonight. The news a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home and make the rooms in your home look bigger and better with larger windows or patio doors. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
There are millions upon millions of people of good character going to good states and low-rent Democrat scum going to Democrat states. After all, that's where they thrive. This is where this is acceptable. And it's being put as something that's normal. It's normal now to be an outright thief, scumbag, traitor to your country.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at gawon'twait.com. That's gawon'twait.com.
Are you considering a unique way to enhance your investment knowledge this year? Then sign up today for the all-inclusive Eagle Financial Publications Cruise. Along with our trusted partner, The Money Show, we're setting sail this December to explore some of the most beautiful and unspoiled destinations in the Caribbean. But this is no ordinary vacation. It's a chance to learn from top Eagle Financial experts like best-selling authors George Gilder, Mark Skousen, and others who will be hosting a series of workshops and seminars throughout the trip. Imagine lounging on the sun deck while discussing investment strategies with like-minded individuals, or enjoying a gourmet dinner at the same table with one of our leading financial authorities. This once-in-a-lifetime cruise is a perfect way to combine education and relaxation to achieve your investment goals. This cruise will sell out quickly, so visit eaglefinancialcruise.com today to learn more and to secure your cabin. That's eaglefinancialcruise.com. Eagle Financial is a division of Salem Media Group.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Metra Union Pacific Northwest Line trains, problems and delays on the main line inbound to the Ogilvie Transportation Center. Freight train interference causing problems there. Tri-State jams up northbound between the Reagan and the outbound Eisenhower ramps. I-55 jams solid Weber Road to Route 126. Stevenson, due to an accident, you've got two left lanes blocked and big delays inbound between the Veterans Memorial Toll Road, I-355, and Lamont Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Air quality alert in effect today. Partly sunny for the afternoon. The high today at 80. It'll be clear tonight, low 63. Sun and clouds, more humidity tomorrow. The high 84. Showers and thunderstorms on Thursday. The high 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
At 6:08, it is time to visit signaturebank.bank and time to update those temperatures. 63 at O'Hare, 68 Lakefront, 64 Midway. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Dan and Amy, we talked at the end of last hour about trial lawyers extracting $1.8 billion from New York City, playing the race card. Let's see how much Ben Crump and company can extract from Northwestern doing the same thing. Ben Crump and trial lawyers, Chicago-based, are rounding up players to potentially take legal action against the college for,
hazing,
for mean things happening
Yeah,
in the locker room.
8 former players so far they have signed up, and they're looking for more.
John
They're client
Garcia,
shopping.
John Garcia reporting for ABC7.
Numerous former players are reportedly coming forward, reporting their own experiences going through the Northwestern football program. And it echoes what a number of players apparently told the independent investigators.
I think hazing is a polite word for it. This is forcing people to engage in physical and sexual abusive acts.
Chicago attorney Steve Levin is partnering with civil rights attorney Ben Crump, representing about a dozen former Northwestern players who are considering a lawsuit against the university. Those allegations in the investigation have already led to the firing of football coach Pat Fitzgerald. Ramon Diaz played for Northwestern from 2005 through 2008 and also says he was subjected to the abuse.
What I saw in that locker room, I was shocked that some of those players were still playing and they weren't told to leave the program.
I cannot believe that not one media outlet has raised the issue of Ramon Ortiz's interview more than a decade ago, talking about his struggles that we talked about in this show, the interview he did with the Shaw newspaper group. I can't believe none of them have raised a tweet he tweeted out 3 years ago.
Praising Coach Fitzgerald for making him the man that he is today, for building character of young men.
Wildcats forever. I mean, it's just so irresponsible. But, and then, of course, you've got the trial lawyers circling. They're circling the players. Fitzgerald is lawyering up to make sure he gets as much of the guaranteed money in his 10-year deal as he can get, so forth.
Yeah, he was a $57 million deal, 10 years. He was 2 years in.
There's
But Ben Crump's coming now. Now they're bringing in Ben Crump.
Yeah, as I said, the race card is going to be played now. Of course it is. Deep pockets. Deep pockets attract trial lawyers like moths to a flame, unless it's CPS. There are also people rallying to Fitzgerald's defense, a little late. Greg Brandon was an assistant coach at NU who helped recruit Fitzgerald. He's been a coordinator, Urban Meyer, and other places. 13 years as a head coach. He wrote this letter about Fitzgerald and about Northwestern. He had 6 years there in the 90s. Knows a little something about it. Just when I thought I had seen it all, NU fires Pat Fitzgerald. I recruited Fitz in 92 and sold him on a dream of taking the purple to Pasadena. 4 years later, with the help of some great players and coaches, the dream became a reality. Now, after a great career as a player and a coach, NU has shown Fitz the door. If we read the accounts, Fitz was fired for hazing allegations in the program. The investigation resulted in a 2-week suspension. I know for a fact Fitz would never condone hazing. Believe it or not, horseplay does occur in a football locker room. How did a 2-week suspension become a firing? Let's make one thing perfectly clear. He was fired by a spineless administration who succumbed to the social media mob.
Yep.
I thought NU was a renowned journalism school. Well, you thought wrong, Coach. Since when did they become the National Enquirer? What happened to research and fact-based reporting? Better yet, let's print a bunch of BS and take a good man down. Obviously, I feel terrible for Fitz and his family, along with his players and coaches. The handling of the situation was a complete travesty. I firmly believe Fitz will coach again. His assistants will pursue and secure new jobs and all that. Get the NU degree, he says to the student athletes at NU at present. Above all, have fun this season playing the game you love. Play for yourself and your teammates, or just enter the transfer portal and play for somewhere else, which is what
some are already doing.
Of course they will. Those that have options, of course they will. The key phrase: he was fired by a spineless administration who succumbed to the social media mob. Right, and who's surprised by that? Apparently, Greg Brandon is. You're on college campuses. I mean, again, I am not a defender of the character assassination that Fitzgerald is experiencing, but the surprise, could you be that blissfully unaware of your environment? Apparently.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
You understand this is all just heaping scorn. Who can heap the most scorn? Who can be the most morally indignant? Who is the most righteous? There's no sense of pursuing justice here. There's no prudence. There is no perseverance. The cardinal virtues are enemies on a college campus, with few exceptions. Do we understand this? And particularly so at the so-called elite universities. Emphasis on so-called. You know who's taking on some friendly fire right now? Ho!
Who?
The sainted Michael Wilbon.
Uh-oh.
Michael Wilbon is getting pushed upon a little bit over at the NPR Times, state-funded media. Michael Wilbon supports that. Michael Wilbon is a man of the left. He's down with the race card being played anytime and every time. He and that douchebag he does that show with on ESPN, Tony Kornheiser. Whoa! Turns out Michael Wilbon's on the board of trustees at Northwestern. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
How can a journalist be on the board of trustees? They're asking over at the NPR Times. That's a conflict of interest. This is where they pretend to be journalists. They pretend that there are standards that are still applicable. The same people who have no questions for Ramon Ortiz.
They didn't even do any digging. I mean, how easy. It's so like low-hanging fruit to just look through their Twitter.
Why do you have to do any digging when you have your story? You may uncover something that jeopardizes that story that you're prepared to tell.
Well, the first red flag is he's like, I can't even watch Wildcat football. Where his whole Twitter is go Cats and great game today and highlights of the game. He's talking out both sides of his mouth, and that's your witness?
See, Wilbon is conflicted.
Okay, what's his...
Because he's a journalist.
Oh, yeah.
He is. And now he's flacking for the university and the university position. He said on his show, do I think we can dig our way out? Yes, there's scandals all the time. People dig their way out. We may lose a ton of kids in the transfer portal. A new dynamic, charismatic coach can pull kids right out of the transfer portal to a school that's still top 10 academically. I'm ready to turn the page and get started with what's new. He should be the PIO for Northwestern. Now, at least Wilbon is self-aware enough when he was touting a new book to say, I used to be a journalist. I don't know what I am now. You're a commentator. It's fine.
Just own it.
Stop pretending that you're above the fray or there's some journalistic standard of that you're abiding. It's a joke. And by the way, it's a joke at all of these outlets, too, that are questioning Wilbon's conflict of interest. There's also a Amazon Post reporter, speaking of conflicts of interest, named Christine Brennan, who's on the board of trustees. As journalists, we don't usually do things like boards. I never had before, but I thought it was a good opportunity to speak for journalism students to add to the diversity of the board as a woman. If I needed to recuse myself from covering something, I would do that. How about everything? What are you talking about? Serving two masters. It's just an honorific. That's the real point for most of the board members. Go fundraise and be an ambassador for the university. Board member, oh, they have such awesome responsibilities. What? Are you crazy? Most of these board members have not a clue or a care about what goes on these college campuses, and they certainly don't care about Pat Fitzgerald or the football program or the sports programs at Northwestern, as you've seen over the years. The only thing that maybe this generates is some donor backlash. You can't get Pat Ryan to stop spending hundreds of millions of dollars to support Northwestern, even though it's a totalitarian re-education camp. But maybe you can get him to stop underwriting a $900 million redo of the stadium.
I think they're going to put that
because
on
of
hold
because of they kicking out Fitzgerald. And by the way, as I said, the baseball coach is gone too.
Yeah, he got fired last week. I think that's a blessing for him that he got fired. I mean, coming from Army to Northwestern and people complaining because he wasn't, he just was a coach who everyone coaches differently. He didn't get involved. He was sometimes, what do they call him? Like cantankerous, or just he wasn't.
The university's investigation found sufficient evidence that Coach Foster engaged in bullying and abusive behavior, whatever that means. What it was reported last week was, he sometimes was cold.
Standoffish, cold. That's it.
He wasn't gregarious. I mean, these are sort of the implications. Sometimes he would criticize some staff members while talking to other staff members. Oh, heavens.
Oh, my goodness. How do you sleep at night, you privileged people? I mean, but then they changed the rhetoric to bullying. See how they did that from the original report?
But bullying is a catch-all.
I know.
Oh my gosh, bullying! You didn't say there was bullying going on.
But now,
what constitutes bullying? I don't know. I just know bullying is terrible. I'm anti-bullying. Bunch of simps running around, pretending to be adults. By the way, I mean, yeah, I know Foster was 10-40 last year, and Northwestern's has got a terrible baseball program. No kidding. But when he was at West Point, 4 consecutive league titles and playoff tournament appearances. So apparently the guy can coach, but maybe not when he's got to coach P-hats and deal with P-hats at Northwestern. Boy, oh boy, really something to behold. Everybody's masks come off. You have to listen to P-hats. I don't care that he played football like Rick Tellender. All these heaping scorn and oh my God, and rallying to the defense of these poor, victimized players. Right, Division I adult male athletes. Yeah. And Ben Crump's coming to town to bloviate behind the microphone and manufacture claims of racism, in addition to all of the other accusations being bandied about. And then you got Wilbon wanting to turn the page and the university otherwise shut down. Nobody say anything. We'll work out cash outs and be done with it, because one thing we've got is money. No character, but we got a lot of money.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Are you a driver of a Ford Powerstroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford Powerstroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford Powerstroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
By the way, one more hilarious point from the NPR Times' coverage of this, and gently questioning Michael Wilbon about his conflict of interest. With Wilbon and that leftists, with Kornheiser leftists, the whole idea. ESPN, ESPN, some aspects of ESPN, they still practice old school journalism. They do? What are you talking about? Oh, my God. Wilbon and Kornheiser, well, Wilbon in particular, not abiding the journalistic standards of ESPN. That's almost like Coach Foster on the baseball team being a little standoffish. Oh, my goodness. Huh. All right, you can shed that fat and be slimmer for the summer. No more wearing cover-ups or T-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. No shots, no hormones, no surgery. You'll lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40-plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work along with bioenergetic scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose the weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat, not just losing water. And you even get Dr. T's personal email and phone number. Dr. T is Dr. Turovets, the founder of NJ Diet. NJ Diet has locations close by in Skokie and Oak Brook, or is available from home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
A day at the ballpark can add up. At Wintrust, we get it. That's why when you open a White Sox checking account from Wintrust Community Banks, you'll receive a $300 bonus with qualifying activities, free ATMs nationwide, and get your very own exclusive White Sox debit card. Score the ultimate Sox souvenir that helps pay for more Sox souvenirs. Get your Sox card today. Visit wintrust.com/Sox. Wintrust, proud partner of the Chicago White Sox. Only $100 required to open. No minimum monthly balance or maintenance fees. Member FDIC.
All right. In between storms is the best time to have your basement checked and possibly repaired. And our good friends at Permaseal, the company to call. They've been around 41 plus years. They've helped more than 500,000 homeowners in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. 800-421-SEAL is the number to call. 800-421-SEAL. They can come over. They've got trucks out on the streets right now, believe it or not, and they can give you a free estimate and tell you what you can do to keep your basement dry and your crawl space dry as well. Or go online to permaseal.net.
As a family-owned business, your complete satisfaction means the world to the McGrath Automotive Group. Everyone and everything at all of the locations are dedicated to making the McGrath experience your best experience. Whether you're looking to buy a new vehicle, in for service, or just taking a test drive, McGrath Automotive Group will always give you the personal attention you deserve. Visit one of their dealerships today in person or online at gomcgrath.com. Service, value, reputation. That's the power of McGrath.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House spokeswoman, in her Monday briefing, the dutiful D.C. press corps, she addressed under questioning the results of the Secret Service investigation into who left the blow in the West Wing. And here's what she had to say about that.
Not going to get into specific on this. We believe the Secret Service did a thorough investigation. We've been briefed of the outcome. They shared the detail in a public statement, which I think is important for the American people to hear directly from the Secret Service who did the investigation. Look, one of the things that they said in the public statement is hundreds of people come through this particular area. And it's a heavily traveled working area. And so that's what they were able to find doing this thorough investigation. And so especially during that weekend, we think about Friday, that Saturday, and that Sunday, and also that, I believe that Monday, that weekend, I should just say, that it was heavily traveled.
So is the president satisfied with the explanation that someone was able to bring an illegal substance into the White House because there are hundreds of people who come here?
What I will say is that the Secret Service did a thorough investigation. That's what we believe. They put out a public statement. I think that's important. Anything else detailing any details or any more information, I would reach out to the Secret Service.
It's such a joke. Secret Service is better than this, and they only interviewed 7 people, and they never even spoke to Hunter Biden. But The View came up with this crazy idea. This is how the blow got into the White House.
So is this more fodder for the Republican machine, conspiracy machine? No matter what the answer would have been, they were always going to blame Hunter Biden. They are weaponizing Hunter Biden against his dad as an effective tool to get his dad to lose his cool and to get his dad to, feel the heartache. And there's people who might believe that it was planted for somebody so that then they could advance the Hunter Biden narrative.
telling you, it was Yellen. It was Yellen. She's hopped up on those psychedelic mushrooms when she's hanging with the Chi-Coms, and she gets back home and she has to do a line or two just to get out there again and continue prattling on for Bidenomics. It's a tough gig. She's under a lot of pressure.
But real quick, this was on MSNBC. Andrew Weissman, former FBI head honcho.
The Secret Service here looks like they can't find a dead cow in a closet.
He's not he's a former DOJ. He's a hack attorney. He was he was one of the Russiagate attorneys. These guys are jokes. Oh, we did a process. Did you produce any results? No. But we did a process, and we issued a public statement saying we did a process, and that should be good enough.
And the case is closed. Nothing to see here. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Something a little harder hitting than even Janet Yellen's blow. Xylazine. We'll talk to Charles Lehman from the Manhattan Institute about that at 6:36.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
63 degrees at 6:30 this morning. A convenience store was heavily damaged by fire in the Edgewater neighborhood near Thorndale and Winthrop. Firefighters were able to stop the flames from spreading to apartments above. The UN command just met with reporters saying an American national has crossed the border from South Korea into North Korea. U.S.-led body that oversees the area tweeted out that the U.S. citizen was on tour to the border village of Panmunjom and crossed the border into the north without authorization and was arrested. Rescuers are searching for 9 people still missing in landslides and other incidents after a week of torrential rain in South Korea. 41 have been killed. In Pennsylvania, emergency crews are still searching for a missing 9-month-old boy and his 2-year-old sister, whose family car was swept away in weekend flooding. Ukrainian forces have shot down 25 exploding drones and 6 cruise missiles during a pre-dawn Russian attack on the port of Odessa. Joe Manchin's appearance with a third-party group is fueling speculation of a possible 2024 presidential run. Here's our reporter, Brian Shook.
The Democratic senator, Utah Governor John Huntsman at the event sponsored by the No Labels Group. No Labels says it wants to represent Americans who are tired of extremists in the Democratic and Republican parties. Democrats are growing increasingly concerned a possible third-party candidate will only help former President Trump. I'm Brian Shook.
A teen is among several hurt after a vehicle crashes into a sub shop in Hinsdale. Police say the 14-year-old was struck by a vehicle outside of Fontenot's yesterday before crashing into that eatery. The teen was taken to Hinsdale Hospital, then rushed to Comer Children's in critical condition. 3 others were badly hurt. A man is in critical condition after being shot by police in Joliet. Authorities say officers were called out yesterday to the 600 block of Elmwood on reports of shots fired. Officers then encountered a man who was walking while holding a handgun. Officers shot the armed man who was taken to an area hospital. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx has released a list of police officers who will not be called to testify in criminal cases. The do not call list includes 174 current and former officers who may have faced allegations of misconduct that have made them, according to Fox's office, unreliable as witnesses. Cubs lose to the Nationals 7-5. White Sox take on the Mets tonight. Connor Bedard signs his contract with the Blackhawks. The news, a service of MyPillow. Queen-size MyPillows, regular price $69.98. Now only $19.98 with promo code LIBERTY. Visit MyPillow.com and use that promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains the significance of talk radio.
Talk radio is enormous. Talk radio has a larger audience than Tucker Carlson does. We are more the last best hope on earth, as Lincoln described America, than ever in our history.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Okay, I have a question. Do you want to eat more fruits and vegetables, but it's just too hard? Let me tell you about Balance of Nature. We all know that our bodies need a wide variety of fruits and vegetables to get the proper amount of nutrition. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies provides a colorful variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables. Your body will get thousands of phytonutrients from every capsule. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Want to remodel your kitchen or bathroom? There's only one name to remember: ForEverRemodeling.com. Not Core Ever Remodeling or Door Ever Remodeling or Explore Ever Remodeling. It's ForEverRemodeling.com. Need an addition or whole home remodeling? Don't call 1, 2, 3 Ever Remodeling. It's Forever Remodeling. Want to finish your basement but don't know where to turn? It won't help to think of Store Ever or Snore Ever or Score Ever Remodeling. You want Forever Remodeling. Forever Remodeling is your go-to for the highest quality kitchen, bathroom, whole home remodeling, room additions, and basement finishing. So don't go to Decor Ever Remodeling or Implore Ever Remodeling or Dinosaur Ever Remodeling. When you're ready for your project to take off, go to 1098765 ForEverRemodeling.com. That's the number 4EverRemodeling.com. Or call us at 847-809-3355.
It is 6:36. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. A service this morning of Lowe's. MVP bonus days are back at Lowe's right now. Save $60 when you buy DeWalt Impact Driver or Drill for just $99 each. Lowe's knows pros, valid through 8/2. Eden's right now sitting at 21 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy inbound, 50 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Kennedy Express lanes jammed up inbound due to an accident. Ike inbound, 50, 390 to the old post office. There's a crash at Lamont Road, inbound on 55, causing big delays as well. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny and pleasant, high near 80, clear and 63 overnight. 63 at O'Hare, 68 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, for all the discussion we've had. Warranted, at that, about fentanyl. This new drug that we've talked a bit about that goes by the handle Trank. It's the zombie drug. You've seen
disturbing.
Yeah, you've seen pictures and videos on social media of people that are just like
they're zombies. They're bent over at the waist and
Yeah.
they're just out of it.
They're dead on their feet, basically taking this drug. Charles Lehman has written about Trank. I guess the actual name is Xylazine, which is a sedative, obviously, and its impact in places like New York City. Charles Lehman is a fellow at the Manhattan Institute, working primarily on the Policing and Public Safety Initiative. He's also a contributing editor of City Journal. He joins us now. Charles, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Sure, thanks for having me on.
So, I mean, give us a sense, since so much of the focus, as I said, has been on fentanyl and fentanyl-laced drugs and the deaths the amount of death that is inducing. Give us a sense of the prevalence and the impact of xylazine in places like New York.
Sure, it's been a growing problem, particularly on the East Coast and the Northeast for a while. A substantial portion, I think well over a majority of fentanyl samples now being tested in Philadelphia are test positive for xylazine, which is, I think Philly is where it really hit first, but you're also you see it in places like New York, and it's spreading elsewhere, although it's still much less prevalent in places on the West Coast, for example. There are reports in places like Seattle, Portland, but they aren't seeing it the same prevalence yet. As you alluded to, xylazine it's a sedative. The reason it's added to fentanyl is to sort of extend and lengthen the depressive state that fentanyl puts you in. It makes the high, quote unquote, better. And I part of the challenge of it, besides its adverse effects on wound healing, which we talked about a little bit, part of the challenge of it is that it's not an opioid, so it's not responsive to Narcan or naloxone, the opioid overdose reversing drug, which means you can have somebody who's high on fentanyl, you can give them Narcan, you'll deal with the fentanyl, but then you won't have dealt with the xylazine OD.
And how does this jive with the public health, the quote unquote public health vending machines that are stacked with items like naloxone and fentanyl test strips and so forth? I mean, is this the approach? Is this a sensible public health approach to this drug problem?
I mean, look, I think it's a kind of public health feeder. Is it good to have naloxone around? Yeah, absolutely. If you can reverse an overdose, you absolutely should. Should we expect that it will have a dramatic impact on the number of people who are actually ODing and dying? No, not really. We've good evidence of that now. That naloxone access does not, in the aggregate, reduce overdose death rates. And then everything else, you look at fentanyl test strips. Okay, well, there's evidence that when you give people fentanyl test strips and they find that their drugs are positive for fentanyl, they don't not use the drugs. They use them still because that's how drug addiction works. That delay is not, delaying or just throwing your drugs out is not really an option on the table. And the same thing is true of lots of other things. So, this is all part of an approach called harm reduction. It's a long, storied approach. It's been around really since the AIDS crisis in drug policy and public health policy. There's certain merits to some harm reduction approaches. The idea is you try to make the harm of the drugs lesser so you can, people live longer. But I think what we're seeing in the current crisis is that it's simply not adequate, while at the same time, for mostly ideological reasons, we are very wary of using any of the other tools that are available to us. We're very wary of using enforcement, using treatment, using primary prevention as tools to deter and address the causes of drug use. And so we're left with these tools that are really Band-Aids, not very effective Band-Aids at that.
So fentanyl is mostly coming from China, shipped to Mexico, then coming up through the border. Where's Xylazine from? Was Xylazine from? Sorry. So Xylazine.
Sure. So Xylazine is a common veterinary medicine. It's uncontrolled. If you have horses, you can get Xylazine. Even if you can claim to have horses, you can get Xylazine. So it's almost certainly currently being diverted from the illicit market. It should be noted, there are jurisdictions that have a xylazine problem for a long time. Puerto Rico, they've had a xylazine problem at least since the turn of the millennium. So that's part of the United States. So it's not fully new. We've been aware of this as an issue. Congress is now moving to schedule xylazine, put it on the schedule of controlled substances. There's sort of a big fight about doing that because, quite frankly, people who work with animals are saying this is the best tranquilizer we have for horses, and we don't want it to be harder to produce, harder to get, because schedules will be harder to get. And the response on the other side is, well, okay, but it's killing people, so maybe you gotta learn to adjust. Ketamine is the other horse tranquilizer is a controlled substance, and they are able to still get ketamine.
And so, is there any reconsideration that you see anywhere, big city America, to the singular play of the harm reduction strategy to include actual, to borrow the phrase, just say no programs. I mean, to focus on this isn't about harm reduction. This isn't about safe use. It's about no use.
There's public messaging that's gone up in a number of places that is at least a little bit trying to deter usage. I think they are not nearly as aggressive as I would be, but that's a start. In the city of San Francisco, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, gave the California National Guard the all clear to go into San Francisco to help clear out the Tenderloin. Clearly, policymakers are willing to listen to other approaches. I think ultimately a lot of what's going on is that they still don't understand the scale and nature of the crisis. They're still running 5 to 10 years behind where we are. People are still talking about prescription opioids as though that's a major issue. When prescription opioid OD deaths peaked 10 years ago, I think people just don't really understand what's happening in the streets right now, and so policymakers are reaching for any tool that's available. There happens to be an organized, a very vocal constituency for harm reduction policies, so those guys are at the table. There are a lot of people who are getting up and saying, just say no, so they aren't necessarily getting heard, but it's not to me so much about are they backing down from this policy versus that. It's that I think a lot of big city policymakers are just still trying to figure out what works and what's going on.
But I mean, you also sort of concede there's at least to varying degrees ideological blinders that are attached to a lot of these policymakers.
Yeah, look, I think that's true too. There's a general view. If you ask the American people, 80% will tell you that the quote unquote the drug war failed. Nobody really knows what that means. If you ask them what they mean by the drug war, they have no idea. But they will. There's I think this general sense that we have been too punitive on drugs. As a result, we should become less punitive on drugs. And nobody's really sure what that means or what that looks like. There's some conversation about a public health approach, and what I like to say is, as we all learned over the past 3 years, public health can be extremely punitive and extremely coercive.
Yeah,
so it's not obvious to me. It's not obvious to me that that's when we say public health, we mean the kind of public health intervention that will get results, which in my view needs to be sometimes coercive.
Yeah, you wrote in your article that the health department's response is to have supervised consumption sites. Can you explain that? What does that look like?
Sure, and SCS it's a place where people can go to use controlled substances under the supervision of medical staff, which mostly just means usually, but not necessarily, a nurse who has Narcan available and other tools for addressing overdose if it happens. SCSs have existed across Europe and Canada for a long time. People sort of express a lot of concerns about them. It seems like they don't lead to dramatic increases in drug use, but it's also not obvious that they do a huge amount. The best estimate we have is that the SCS in Vancouver, which is the longest operating one, handles about 5% of drug use sessions in the city in any given day, which is a very small fraction. So I like this is it's another of these Band-Aid approaches. It's like, well, let's have a place where people can go where they can be sure to get Narcan. And it's like, first of all, many people, if you're using every 2 hours, if you're using 6 to 8 times a day, you're not going to the supervised consumption site for all of them. You only have to get it wrong once to die. And then also B, it's not focusing in on why are people using drugs. There's an argument that SCSs are supposed to refer people to treatment, but they almost never actually do that. So it's another Band-Aid approach. It's a thing that you can do easily, but isn't obviously one that's really addressing the crisis.
I want to go back to what you said about American people generally want us to be less punitive toward drug use, and they don't know what that means. Well, actually, we are seeing what it means in pertinent part in a very high-profile example, the celebration of marijuana usage sanctioned by the state for the purposes of finding another revenue stream. And what of that? Because, Alex Berenson, for example, former New York Times reporter, as you know, was writing about this before the pandemic, about the heightened incidence of psychosis among heavy marijuana users, and writing about trying to educate people about, this is not your parents' Woodstock marijuana. The THC content is 20 and 25x as powerful as it was back in the 60s. So what about that? What about the idea that the state is sort of speaking out of both sides of its mouth, even to the harm reduction strategy? They always say, don't do this, or you use this responsibly, whatever using fentanyl responsibly means. or having these sites like you're describing. But on the other hand, please get out there and smoke as much weed as possible because we've already budgeted for and spent the money we expect to recoup.
Yep. Well, and in fact, I think part of what you're seeing is that states are not making nearly as much off of marijuana tax revenue as they would like to. Some of this has to do with demand during the pandemic. Some of this has to do with when you have, if your model of the price of marijuana comes from the prohibition market, when you no longer have a prohibition market, price will be driven down dramatically, and so your tax revenue will be lower. No, I think it's right. There are arguments I don't ultimately agree with, but persuasive arguments that say we should legalize marijuana because it's not worth the effort and the cost and money and lies to prohibit it. I think that's probably wrong, but that's a respectable view. But we've gone very quickly from that to failing to recognize that marijuana is a vicious substance. As you alluded to, it has significant mental health implications. The most persuasive evidence for psychosis. There's some evidence associated at certain use levels with anxiety and depression. It's also just my friend, the drug policy researcher John Calkins, calls performance-degrading drug.
Yeah.
Everybody knows somebody who's a stoner whose life revolves around getting stoned, and they're far less functional than they would be otherwise. And it's not good for our society to live like that. It's not good for them to live like that. So even if we think pot should be legal, that we shouldn't prohibit it, that doesn't mean that we want the state to condone or actively encourage that lifestyle, because it's not good for anybody.
He is Charles Lehman, fellow at the Manhattan Institute, working primarily on policing and public safety, and a contributing editor at City Journal as well. Do check out his piece we were discussing, Just Say No to Xylazine. Charles, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
Your kids won't be thinking about school very much this summer, but it's the perfect time for you to think about where you'll be sending your child back to school this fall, really just a month away. More and more parents thinking about private Christian school, maybe that's you. Well, private school has never been more affordable thanks to halfpriceschools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across Chicagoland, available at half of the normal price. No catch, simple. Find a school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools located all across Chicagoland, including Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, Emmanuel Lutheran in Palatine, Kingswood Academy in Darien, Trinity Lutheran in Lombard, and many more. But don't delay. Summer is not going to last forever. Schools will be starting again before you know it. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. Again, many of these vouchers have already sold out, so don't wait. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
Cher fans, do you believe? Make your dreams come true when Tribute Artist of the Year nominee Lisa McClowry takes the stage as Cher to sing 2 great nights with her band. Saturday, July 29th at the Des Plaines Theater and Sunday, July 30th at the Arcata Theater in St. Charles. Celebrate 6 decades of Cher in an amazing live music and multimedia production. The Beat Goes On, featuring all the songs you know and love. Plus the inside stories about Cher's life and career. And don't forget those incredible costumes. The Beat Goes On, from Legends and concert star Lisa McClowry, who sings and talks and moves so much like Cher, you'll swear you're watching Cher herself. The Beat Goes On. Saturday, July 29th at 7:30 at the Des Plaines Theater and Sunday, July 30th at 5 p.m. at the Arcata Theater in St. Charles. Get your tickets now at beatgoesonshow.com.
We need to have a well-balanced diet. We need our fruits and vegetables. And when you give your body the best possible fuel, you do have more energy. You're stronger. You think more quickly. And that's why I take Balance of Nature. 6 capsules a day. It's powdered, the fruits and veggies, after an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. Maximum nutrition, 31 whole fruits and vegetables. Real food, real nutrition. So get your health back. If you've been thinking about doing it, give it a shot. Call this number, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. First-timers get free shipping and 20% off your first preferred order of fruits and veggies. Balance of Nature, or go online, balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Many novice gold and silver buyers make fatal mistakes when buying precious metals for the first time. Mistakes made because of dealer gimmicks and scams. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. My choice, and it really is, for buying precious metals. Numerous precious metal dealers are capitalizing on the demand for gold by selling inexperienced investors collectible coins with outrageous markups. One company charges as much as $18,000 for collectible coins that are only worth about $5,500 in the open market. It's an example of the honesty of AmFed. Other dealers tell falsehoods about government gold confiscation or regulation of gold prices at AmFed Coin and Bullion to keep things simple and transparent so you'll understand what you own and its true value. If you're thinking of buying or have already purchased and want a second opinion, call Nick Grovich, the man I trust, and his team at AmFed Coin and Bullion, 800-221-7694. Receive a complimentary coin performance review, AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
It's time for Animal Stories with Uncle Dan and Little Amy.
It's been a while, huh?
It has been a while. Apologies, of course, to it's just really a tribute to Larry Lou Jack. So, anyway, Bobby, the oldest dog in the history of recorded time. Bobby lives in Portugal, and here's Bobby's story. The key takeaway for dog owners.
Right.
Key takeaway here for dog owners. Listen closely to Bobby's story.
This is Bobby. He's the oldest dog in history.
Chocolate lab, right?
Today, Bobby is celebrating his 31st birthday.
31.
Where he was born in beautiful Conquiros, Portugal.
A land of clean soil, clean air, and clean food.
Bobby's dad, Lionel, and his family have always raised exceptionally long-lived pets and fed them all like family, sharing garden-fresh, homemade meals with their animals.
Every day, Bobby eats from the family's organic garden.
Food chain.
Nibbling on herbs, grasses, and his favorite vegetables.
Bobby also has a rich social life. He goes on daily nature walks and snifaris, where he can sniff and smell to his heart's desire, while visiting his friends along the way.
Bobby was verified as the oldest dog in the world by Guinness World Records. Officials collected testimonies from Bobby's veterinarians, interviewed Lionel's neighbors, and completed DNA telomere testing, which approximates age. His 1992 rabies certificate was also verified by the Portuguese Veterinary Medical Association.
On January 9th of 2023, Bobby was declared the oldest dog in the world and the oldest dog in recorded history.
And today, international media, friends and neighbors have come to celebrate his record-setting birthday, bringing stories, memories, and mementos to commemorate this historic event.
And you know, you could see it in Bobby's eyes when they were having that party for him to celebrate his 31st birthday. You know what he was saying?
What?
For God's sakes, would you put me to sleep?
No,
I can't stand you people.
So the moral of the story is we shouldn't be giving our dogs and cats brown balls that are hard to eat for breakfast and lunch.
No, you should do what I do. Not all that organic plant-based. That's just like, that's all
nibbling on
granola-y
herbs.
and no. Because I always get scolded for this. Like Hayek and we split meals. He has the same food I have.
Okay.
So, if I have ribeye, then he has a ribeye. If I have Chick-fil-A, he has Chick-fil-A. It's a suicide pact. That's the point.
Yeah, that's. But we gotta tweet this out because Bobby is so cute. People are dancing around
Please
Bobby.
help me, Bobby's saying. God, don't
this
make
birthday
me
hat
live to
off me.
32.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to that young lady who was banned from the YMCA for not wanting to change in the locker room with dudes. 7:07.
It's now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
An American soldier detained in North Korea. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is a breaking story this morning.
The United Nations says the American was taking part in a tour to the Joint Security Area, a famous border village in the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. According to a UN command statement, he crossed the military demarcation line into North Korea without authorization and is likely being detained.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. 6 years ago, American Otto Warmbier died days after North Korea released him and sent him back to the U.S. in a vegetative state after suffering brain damage in prison there. Warmbier was convicted in 2016 for stealing a poster from his hotel while he was on a guided tour of North Korea. The House plans to vote today on a pro-Israel resolution after Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal called Israel a racist state over the weekend, then apologized and clarified it's Prime Minister Netanyahu's policies that are racist against Palestinians.
43 House Democrats now issuing a public denouncement, writing the remarks are not only dangerous and anti-Semitic, but they also undermine America's national security. But, several of Jayapal's fellow high-profile progressive colleagues, they still do plan to boycott President Herzog's address.
That's Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Israel's President Isaac Herzog will speak to Congress tomorrow. Today, he'll meet with President Biden. There's a pre-trial hearing today in the Trump classified documents case related to how they'll handle the classified evidence. The former president pleaded not guilty, claiming he's being politically targeted. Now, he could face charges in Georgia as well. At some point, the state Supreme Court rejected a Trump effort to block a district attorney from prosecuting him after grand jury probe into his attempts to overturn 2020 election results. It's going to be very hot again across the South.
Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, the interior valleys of California. All those areas are going to see temperatures over 100 degrees.
National Weather Service meteorologist Bob Morvik. Phoenix could set a record topping 110 for 19th day in a row. America's listening to Fox.
62 degrees. 7:02 is our time on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. This morning, a convenience store was heavily damaged by fire in the Edgewater community. Firefighters were able to stop the flames from spreading to apartments above the stores. A teen is among several hurt after a vehicle crashes into a sub shop in Hinsdale. A 14-year-old was struck by the vehicle just outside Fontano's yesterday before it crashed into that eatery. The teen was taken to Hinsdale Hospital, then Comer Children's Hospital in critical condition. 3 others are in serious condition. The FAA investigating after debris from a United Airlines flight was found in the backyard of a Chicago home. The plane arriving from Switzerland landed safely, but maintenance workers later said the plane was missing an emergency evacuation slide that was found in the 4700 block of North Chester. As undocumented immigrants continue to descend into Illinois, officials are trying to come up with solutions to house them. Multifamily housing owners and managers recently held a roundtable. Michael Glasser is president of the Neighborhood Building Owners Alliance.
How can people who have apartments that they want to offer reach qualified migrants who need units, and what are the conditions and terms, and what is the risk of doing it? What is the benefit of doing it?
Meantime, Chicago Public Schools rolling out a new welcome center for migrant students and families this week. CPS CEO Pedro Martinez.
This is not a shelter. It is a place where families in this region of the city who have been referred can come and get enrolled and get connected with services.
Martinez says 4 classrooms at Roberto Clemente Community Academy High School are being dedicated to assist younger migrants. Cubs gave up 11 hits in a 7-5 loss to the Nationals. White Sox take on the Mets at Citi Field tonight. Meantime, this afternoon at Guaranteed Rate, it's the White Sox hosting the Double Duty Classic, held annually by the White Sox since 2007. Sort of recreates the vibe as the old Negro League East and West All-Star games that were held at Comiskey Park, named for Ted Double Duty Radcliffe, who played for the Chicago American Giants. Game features elite inner-city high school baseball players from around the country. The news service of the AM 560 store, T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University at 560theanswer.com/store. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher, The Mike Gallagher Show.
Have you heard about Hunter Biden's text message to a Chinese business associate?
I don't know if it's going to break through. The mainstream media has an excuse again not to cover it. They're covering everything about Russia and the Wagner Group.
That's how pitiful and corrupt and despicable they are.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
July is National Parks and Recreation Month. No, nothing to do with the stupid sitcom. In other words, it's time to get off your ass and get outside. It'll improve your health, your well-being, and your overall happiness. Do not stay inside like a Democrat waiting for a welfare check. You know what else improves health? 120 Life. Now in a powdered mix format that is easy to carry on your hikes, on your rounds of golf, you name it, you can put it in your pocket. Made with ingredients like tart cherry, cranberry, and pomegranate. 120 Life powdered. Drink mix that supports lower blood pressure with 1 gram of sugar and only 5 calories. And you'll feel good drinking it too, just like I do. So stay cool outside with 120life.com. Keep your blood pressure in check. 120life.com. Go to 120life.com. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you. Visit 120life.com. Check out 120life.com. That's 120life.com. And use coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% on your order. Plus, free shipping. And get this, you'll earn customer rewards point with every order. 120 Life. We need more stuff like this.
707. Worried about basement flooding? It's time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Edens, 25 minutes. Lake Cooks Road to the junction. The Kennedy at an hour 12 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. A crash at Lamont Road on northbound 55 gumming up the works. And on the Ryan end, 9395th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State, earlier accident southbound between Lake Forest, Oasis, and Half Day Road. Still causing delays, but the accident has reportedly been pulled out of your way. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
It'll be partly sunny today. We do have an air quality alert in effect. Our high today 80, clear tonight low 63. Sun and clouds, more humidity tomorrow, the high 84. Shower and thunderstorm, breezy and warm on Thursday, high 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
62 at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We brought you this story last week. The story of 16-year-old Abigail Wheeler, who was removed from her local YMCA swim team in Springfield, Illinois. Our state capital, don't you know? Because she didn't want to dress and undress with dudes in the girls' locker room. She went to her coach, and he was dismissive of her concerns. She was accused of hate speech.
Oh my gosh.
For saying,
Please.
I don't feel comfortable in a locker room with men. She's 16 years old. And ultimately bounced from the team. And this is making national news for obvious reasons, because this is a fight that's going on wherever anyone is willing to fight, because otherwise it's just going to be the LGBTQ2 spirit plus crowd that rules the day and rolls over any dissent. So good for Abigail Wheeler, who joins us now, along with her sister, Caitlin Wheeler. Abigail and Caitlin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, thank you for having us.
So, Abigail, I mean, just in your own words, and we went through it a bit last week based on the reporting, and you heard my quick summary of it, but tell us from your perspective, since you experienced, how this all went down.
Yeah, of course. While attending swim practice one day, I went into the locker room to use the restroom. As I was headed to the stalls, I saw a man in the women's locker room changing, and I felt uncomfortable and scared, so I immediately left, and I went to go tell my head coach and told him there was a man in the women's locker room. He responded to me that he was aware of it and there was nothing he could do by Illinois state law. I spoke to him several times, and I also spoke to the CEO of my concerns and my discomfort about this, and I was basically told the same thing over and over again. So a couple weeks later, a friend and I, a teammate actually, decided after not having anything done about it, we were going to put, signs up in the women's locker room, informative signs, just to let the members know what was going on, because there were parents that were completely unaware of that this was going on. And when letting them know this after practice, or at practice the next day, my coach pulled the girls team aside, telling us that there were hateful messages that were put up in the women's locker room that were considered hate speech and disrespectful.
And what do those signs that you put up on the women's locker room say?
Mine had 3 statements on them, which stated women's rights, biological women only, and safe sport.
Well, now this biological man that was in there, was he an older gentleman? Had you ever seen him before while you were at the YMCA?
I had seen him once before, and at that time I did not know it was a man, but had realized, after time that this was a man changing in the women's locker room. And this guy is older, for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then you put these signs up, and you're saying, the women's locker room, women's restroom is for women.
Yes.
And then what happens?
So when my coach pulled us aside, basically telling us that they were hate speech, I went over to my coach after him announcing this to us and told him that I was gladly a part of putting up these signs. And I said, because when I went to you several times about this and voiced my concerns and told you I was uncomfortable about it, I was basically told that I could use the family locker rooms, or I did not have to use the facilities if I was uncomfortable.
Well, don't you think that they are the ones that should be using the family locker room? And
yes, but they wouldn't.
Right, and that was proposed by your father to the YMCA, and it was rejected, right?
Yes.
Hmm. So you can make alternative arrangements, but the dude in the girls' locker room doesn't have to. Got it. Okay, and so he put that to you. If you're uncomfortable, then you can do this, or you can walk. And the YMCA has put out a statement saying that they didn't eject you from the team, that you left the swim team and the YMCA on your own. Is that true?
I'm going to jump in here, actually, and kind of
Caitlin.
answer this question. But the YMCA released a very small portion of the story. That is not the full story. That just so happens to be the part of the story that fits their narrative. So, no, we did not leave on our own accord. We were actually forced out of the YMCA. Abigail was forced to leave her swim team. She was banned from the YMCA, so my family wasn't going to keep a family membership where their daughter was not even allowed to park in the YMCA parking lot nor step a foot into a facility. So also keep in mind that if a man were to walk in a women's locker room 3 or 4 years ago, this would have been a chargeable offense that would have sent this person to prison on an array of things. So we're having men whose feelings are trumping the realities, and it's baffling to know that this is happening in a YMCA of all places.
Is there a wanted poster up for Abigail? I mean, you said that she's not even allowed to park in the parking lot, so they don't want her anywhere near the premises? She's 16 years old.
Exactly.
So this escalated from the signs. I did the signs. If you want to use if you want to make alternative arrangements, the family bathroom, you can do that. When she said no, then they moved to just you're out. You're not welcome on the premises, and that it escalated that quickly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're a swimmer yourself, Caitlin. You swam at University of Kentucky, correct?
That is correct, yes. In my 3rd year, many women, including myself, were forced to not only compete against the well-known Leah Thomas, and we were also forced to change in the same locker room as a man. So for me, this was far from an experience to which I felt comfortable or safe. So now that to hear my little sister, who's 16 years old, is going through this, and many other little girls who are 5 and 6 years old, and parents don't even know, which is crazy.
Yeah, Leah Thomas, Speak of the Devil, has come out as an Antifa super soldier in new pictures. I don't know if you saw that. Very interesting. I digress.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
I digress on that.
Very disturbing.
Well, so I mean, so Riley Gaines was a teammate of yours.
Yes, she is a good friend and teammate.
So what are the conversations? So you were a Division I athlete. You had that experience with Leah Thomas, like Riley Gaines has, who's rose to some prominence now. And then you see this happening sort of at, for lack of a better description, the club level with your sister at the YMCA. What is the feeling among female athletes about what's happening here to female sport, or even just, playing a sport at the highest levels like you were, or just even enjoying the sport?
Yeah. Well, I mean, apparently we're supposed to just bow down to men and just let them take over everything that 51 years ago, Title IX was supposed to have already settled, but they just want us to be silent and just let it happen, and we can't do that. As women, we cannot just sit and stay silent. We must speak. We must speak loudly about it, or they're just going to continue to strip our freedoms as women away.
Well, why are so many swimmers silent about this? I mean, couldn't you form a solidarity and rise up against this?
I mean, and many women are afraid to speak up. I mean, Riley has said this before. People, it's scary standing up like this. It's scary taking a stance. I have friends that are like, you really want to do this, you're going to receive a lot of hate and stuff. But at what point do you stand up for what's right? At what point do you stand up for yourself? Because if you don't, then nobody else will. Absolutely.
What's the reaction been among teammates and families that you both know who swim or are associated with the YMCA?
I've received a lot of support, actually. I don't think I've had. I am. I'm swimming at another local team here in Springfield.
Okay, and they sort of limit the women's bathroom to women. I mean, is that one of those like old school swim joints? Yeah, that just have women in the women's locker room and bathroom. It's nice that those still exist.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's great.
And do you hope to swim someday in college, Division I, II?
I am still in the process of making that decision, but we'll see.
Where do you, both of you ladies, where did you get the courage to, as you were describing, to stand up and stand for what's right here and stand up to an institution that's not living up to its principles. Where does that come from?
I would say it comes a lot from both of our, I'm going to speak a little bit for Abigail too, but both of our faiths, we're both Christians and we love the Lord, and so a lot of our strength comes from his power, but also from just being fed up with this. Our family's now been impacted by this twice now on two completely separate instances that are not related at all. And so to have us be impacted by it now twice, I can't imagine all the other families that have been impacted by this. So, somebody needs to stand up. Somebody needs to be a voice for those people who can't.
Caitlin, did you ever swim against Leah Thomas?
I did not swim in the same events as Leah, but I did change in the same locker room. I was with Riley, and we both were changing in that locker room when we first saw Leah Thomas in there changing out of their swimsuit as we were pretty much naked in ours.
Well, what's the feel like at the meet when he's competing? I mean, I know you didn't go against him, but you were there at the same meets. What was the audience like? What was the atmosphere?
Pretty easy to pick him out at 6'5".
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was, lots of tears. It was just we were just standing there in shock that this was happening before our eyes. It's never something we thought we would see in women's swimming or in our lifetime. It's nothing we would have imagined to have been allowed to happen. So it was very emotional, very sad. Many friends of mine were pushed out of the A and B finals because, they were pushed out by a man. And so it was very emotional. It was very sad to see a lot of the women who fought for Title IX 50 years ago, all that work and all those efforts just being eradicated.
Because you spend your life in the pool, hours a day, and then if somebody loses their spot to a man, that's got to be infuriating.
Yes, a man who was ranked up in the 500s in the men's division, but yet comes over into the women's division and is winning national titles.
Abigail and Caitlin Wheeler, the Wheeler girls, thank you so much for joining us both and for standing up and being outspoken and living your faith. We appreciate it. I have great respect for both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And they both joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
It's summertime, and you want to keep the shop, warehouse, and other doors open for ventilation. Air circulation improves the well-being of your employees and customers, but open doors can let in the uninvited, like strangers, birds, rodents, and bugs. Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. can help solve the problem with a full line of commercial screen door products designed with these specific problems in mind. Call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. now. Also, regular scheduled maintenance is the key, and Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. has multiple levels of maintenance programs for your company's needs and budget. They'll ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification to increase the useful life of your doors. Visit their website to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there to assist in designing a solution that works best for you. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
We'll take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, if anyone wants to opine on what you heard from the Wheeler sisters out of Springfield, Illinois there. I guess Leah Thomas doesn't have to worry about this anymore, low T. There's a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to visit a provider you can trust. I trust my friends at Low T Center, where I get my levels checked and have the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, notice weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could be signs of low testosterone levels. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T level tested, so what are you waiting for? Log on now to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dan Migatz, co-owner and CFO of AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, and a new customer of Signature Bank. We specialize in the creative design and construction of outdoor living spaces, providing our residential and commercial customers first-in-class landscaping services. Our company was founded as a one-man operation and today has grown into a multifaceted, one-stop shop for outdoor and indoor design and contracting needs. Signature Bank was there to provide the capital needed to grow our expansion efforts. We wanted to work with a bank that understands our business and is relationship-focused. Signature Bank is what a relationship bank is all about. We're excited to continue our partnership for many years to come.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, I have a question. Do you want to eat more fruits and vegetables, but it's just too hard? Let me tell you about Balance of Nature. We all know that our bodies need a wide variety of fruits and vegetables to get the proper amount of nutrition. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies provides a colorful variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables. Your body will get thousands of phytonutrients from every capsule. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, those Wheeler sisters, Abigail and Caitlin, pretty impressive.
Yeah, I got a text message. Dan and Amy, just wondering why women aren't doing a march in Washington, D.C., like they did when Trump was elected to protect women and their rights.
Well, it'd be different women, that's for sure. But, yeah.
They had a lot to say back then, certainly way too quiet right now.
Well, they're not going to go against the orthodoxy, but this does hopefully encourage other women, what the Wheeler sisters have done, and Riley Gaines and others, to come forward and express themselves similarly. By the way, for those wondering...
Yeah, we got a lot of text message. Leah Thomas News with Antifa. What is that?
The clownfish, Leah Thomas, recently posted on social media a picture of him in sunglasses, black shorts, a black bondage harness, and a black shirt emblazoned with the words, quote, Antifa super soldier. You know, that's sort of how it goes on the left, as I've tried to explain many times. Once you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound.
What is she upset that Dylan Mulvaney's stealing her thunder?
First of all, that's a he. Secondly, by the way, Dylan Mulvaney, that dude pretending to be a girl, gross, is back from his self-imposed exile in Peru.
Oh, yeah, he went to Machu Picchu where he said he's safer there than he is in America. And how long did that last, that little stunt?
He was on the red carpet, some event for celebrities.
LGBTQ thing.
And he wore a dress with the nipple areas open to show off his great rack.
See, now, if any real woman did that, you might lose your job because women don't act like that.
Not in Hollywood.
Oh.
Jerry in the Western Burbs.
Hey, Dan, good morning to you and Amy, but after your report earlier on Northwestern, male athletes have to realize that it's not just female swimmers. When do you think these guys might step up to the plate and start backing these women up? If they will.
It's a great point. Thanks for the call, Jerry.
Where are the men?
That, boy, that's sort of a constant question we have in American society today, isn't it? Where are the men? Well,
You know-
you did have, I mean, obviously the Wheeler's father was involved here, and that was encouraging. And you also see how confident and well-spoken and thoughtful his girls are. So that goes to the family, including dad. But yeah, where are the men?
You know what I saw? I was about to text you yesterday. I saw 3 different men where they're carrying purses now, like the Merce, but like fancier purses than I have.
Mm-hmm. Are they wearing those?
So gross.
Those
don't ever get a purse.
Are they wearing those sheer midriff shirts too? That's a new thing. I mean, I don't know if it's new, but it's a thing. By the way, when I went to see Sound of Freedom,
Oh, good, you saw it.
I saw the largest transvestite that I've seen to date. Like to keep track of that.
In the movie theater with you, or
I
just
mean,
seeing another movie?
easily, this dude was easily 350, wearing some sort of dress and also a mask.
Of course.
Pink hair.
Of course. Nose ring, tattoos.
No.
No?
But you know, it's not a mess or anything.
No.
It's not a mental health mess there. No, of course not.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Time for our weekly confab, all things Illinois policy related. Mark Glennon from WirePoints, wirepoints.org, joins us 7:37.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
As your swimming correspondent, I can tell you that Caitlin Wheeler, she's no slouch. She's top 50 in the nation.
Good.
The older sister.
She's still at Kentucky?
I think she's done. I think she was a senior this past year, but quite
accomplished,
good swimmer, especially in the swimming powerful SEC.
Maybe we'll see some of those girls, Riley Gaines or her, at the Olympics. I mean, if all the dudes don't take their spots.
63 degrees at 7:31. The UN command says an American national has crossed the border from South Korea into North Korea. U.S.-led body that oversees the area tweeted out that the U.S. citizen this morning was on a tour to the border village of Panmunjom and crossed the border into the north without authorization. Now, that joint security area, JSA, is just about 30 miles north of Seoul, the South Korean capital. A man accused of leaking sensitive Pentagon documents on social media is asking to be let out of jail. Jack Teixeira's lawyers made the argument on Monday. Joe Manchin's appearance with a third-party group is fueling speculation of a possible 2024 run with the No Labels group. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy slamming progressive Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal for her comments calling Israel a, quote, racist state, end quote.
Person in the Democratic conference that has continued to make anti-Semitic comments.
While speaking to reporters, McCarthy cited other previous anti-Semitic comments made by Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib. Iowa's new abortion ban is on hold, but just for the time being after a Polk County judge temporarily blocked the new law. Here in Chicago, a convenience store was damaged by heavy flames in the Edgewater neighborhood. Firefighters were able to stop the flames from moving up to the apartments above the stores. A teen among several hurt after a vehicle crashes into a sub shop in Hinsdale. The 14-year-old is in critical condition. 3 others inside are hospitalized in serious condition. And this morning, the burger chain In-N-Out will be barring employees from wearing masks in 5 states. Starting in mid-August, employees in Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, and Texas will not be allowed to wear a medical mask at work unless they have a doctor's note. For now, the rule will not apply to workers in California where In-N-Out is based. Cubs lost to the Nationals 7-5. White Sox and Mets tonight at Citi Field, and Connor Bedard signs his contract yesterday on his 18th birthday. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees an abuse of power.
The state of our media and our regime at this point, their modern-day Pravda, standing up to demand more censorship. The very same agencies that Republicans like Lindsey Graham and others created post 9/11 are now being used against patriots who dare challenge the regime.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. If New York City is making settlements like this, can Chicago and Illinois be far behind? On Saturday, the New York Post reported that New York City will pay out nearly $2 billion to Black and Hispanic teacher candidates and ex-teachers who were denied teaching positions because they failed the teacher licensure exam, claiming the test was biased. 64-year-old Herman Grimm will be paid over $2 million after failing the test a lot. But in a New York Post interview, he could not provide any examples of how the tests and questions were racist. The Daily Wire stated that the settlement concerns the arts and sciences test, which prospective teachers took between 1993 and 1995. More than 90% of the whites passed the test, while only 53% of blacks and even fewer Hispanics did. A 2011 NEA study showed the New York City test has similar minority passage rates as the widely used Praxis test most states use to assess teacher content proficiency. But later, the NEA rejected their own study and said the Praxis test was racist too. Praxis creators have said all the content and skills in the 3 Praxis 1 tests cover skills that do not exceed a high school level. After New York City replaced their old test in 2017, they ended entirely the requirement that teachers pass a literacy test because just 46% of Hispanic test takers and 41% of Black test takers passed it on the first try. So New York City seems to care more about the race of the teacher than the quality of the teacher. Instead of lawyers shaking down taxpayers on behalf of minority teachers, they should represent minority parents whose kids aren't being educated. I'd love to see that settlement. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more about this topic and others, sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually, speeding catches up with you.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads. A service of MyPillow. Big news. MyPillow employees want to thank you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. Queen size MyPillows, regular price $69.98. Now $19.98 with promo code Liberty. That's promo code Liberty. Eden's 35 Lake Cook Road to the Junction. Kennedy inbound 90 minutes from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Express lanes, disabled vehicle on the inbound Kennedy, blocking a right-hand lane between Montrose and California. On the Ike, 66 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson at an hour from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan coming inbound. It's a half hour from 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny and pleasant. High of 80 today and a low of 63 overnight. 62 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. On AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for a weekly confab with the wirepoints.org folks. This week it's Mark Lennon. And before we get to Mark, from Wirepoints, Just a little macro update on how Illinois is doing, because you are constantly barraged by the agitprop from the Chicago and Springfield press corps. They're the only two counties that matter, Cook and Sangamon, in case you didn't know. And to hear Jelly Belly tell the story, things are going swimmingly. If you actually look at the numbers, though, since Pritzker took office, Illinois has the 10th worst GDP growth rate in the country. Illinois has one of the worst unemployment rates in the country. It's the 5th highest. The real annualized growth rate in the first quarter of 2023, coming out of the pandemic and getting back to work, only 4 states grew more slowly in the first quarter of this year: Rhode Island, Alabama, Arkansas, and West Virginia. Illinois grew at 0.25%. Iowa, by contrast, grew at 5.25%.
Wow.
I mean,
go Hawkeyes.
I mean, it's just really something. But everything's going great. Don't change course. No, because, I mean, for example, wait, one more macro stat, and then we'll get to the good news, because we don't want to spend too much time on, the truth. This was interesting. This is from Steve Moore's Unleash Prosperity newsletter, graphing the states with the biggest increase and decrease in the 0 to 4 age population between April of 20 and July of 2022. So why is the age 0 to 4 population so important? Well, because what does that tell us? Where young families are choosing to live and raise a family, right? If you have kids 0 to 4. Well, there are 3 states that saw their 0 to 4 population decline by more than 7% over that 2-year period. Can you name them? I bet you can. New York, California,
Illinois,
and Illinois. There are a couple states that were close to the 7%, -7%, like New Mexico, but 3 states, worst in the country: Illinois, California, New York. That gets a bit redundant, doesn't it? By contrast, the states that saw the greatest increase in 0 to 4 population, where families are moving, young families are moving and saying, this is where we want to raise our kids: the Carolinas, Tennessee, Idaho, actually. Interesting. All right, but just ignore all that, because that's just fear porn about Illinois. Everything's going well, and I don't want to hear anything else.
Yeah, we're not losing population, but we lost a congressional seat. Okay.
Again,
worm your way out of that one, Governor Pritzker.
Put all that negativity away and allow the release from State Treasurer Michael Frerichs' office to wash over you, to cleanse you of any notion that things could be going better. Resume your posture as Dr. Pangloss. It's the best of all possible worlds in the land of Lincoln. We just set another record, says State Treasurer Michael Frerichs. $2 billion in investment earnings. As a state treasurer, he writes, I serve as the state's chief investment office and banking officer. What background do you have in investing and banking? Not sure. When money comes into the state, be it at $15 for a state fishing license or $15 million to set a legal dispute, it's deposited with our office. We then invest the money with a focus on the preservation of capital and liquidity. Some of our investments are as short as overnight. Others are as long as 10 years. The record-setting $2 billion validates our approach to be prudent, to be thoughtful, and to always respect the taxpayer. Prudence, thoughtfulness, and respect for taxpayer, we all know those are the hallmarks of Illinois state government. Well, I'm glad. He's seeing that ROI. You know why? Because half of the $3 billion the Department of Employment and Security paid out during COVID was fraudulent. So we got some ground to make up. Way to come to the rescue, Treasurer Frerichs, or did he? Mark Lennon joins us now, wirepoints.org. Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Mark, are you there?
Do we have Mark? Mark.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Oh, there we go.
Hello.
All right, Mark. So you saw what Treasurer Frerick said about his wonderful ROI on the sage investments that he makes with our money. What do you have to say in reply other than, of course, thank you?
Geez, where do you start, Dan? This is a topic that we've long written about, and it's serious now because interest rates are up, and we're talking about real money in terms of earnings that we should be getting on that portfolio that he has. Right now, he has $32 billion under his management that comes from those various fees and different funds that you mentioned. And of course, he's bragging about how much money he's earned on it. But it's only invested for a duration of about a year. I mean, typical investment is like a 1 year maturity. The weighted effective maturity is just over a year. And what's the yield that he's getting? 4.5%. Well, I'm looking at the U.S. 1 year Treasury rate. It's 5.3%. So you got to ask, what's so great about that? Why not put it in the 1 year Treasury? You should be doing a whole lot better. This whole subject of why the Treasurer sits on this amount of money, and it's permanent. I mean, it fluctuates a little bit, but it's not seasonal, and it comes from, we have hundreds of different funds that are set up within the state government. As you say, it comes from a hunting licensing fee, and it's dedicated to this or that. There's no reason to have all these funds. In aggregate, it's a permanent amount of money, and we ought to look at how and why it's being held. I'm certainly not suggesting that we go out and blow it, but how it should be invested and what the sense is of this setup that we have with the Treasurer.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, he also notes that, and this is something that you heard Pritzker say during the campaign last year, too. Look at our credit rating. Our credit rating is improving, and he writes, does Frerichs, that Fitch, a national credit ratings agency, reaffirmed the Illinois Funds' top AAA rating. Again, they're just managing the money so responsibly and effectively. They're getting these returns, which, as you pointed out, just putting it all in T-bills, and getting hailed by the rating agencies for their judiciousness.
Yeah, rating agencies are important only to bondholders and mean nothing in terms of taxpayers or the quality of services that you're getting. The rating agencies love bailouts and tax increases, which is what Illinois has gotten, of course, over the past quite a few years. One key number I would add to the nice summary you just gave about our situation. Illinois has had no net new jobs in 20 years. I mean, think about that, stagnant net job growth in 20 years. Why don't we recognize these problems and deal with them honestly? Instead, it's denial, denial, denial. Everything's going great. I just don't get it.
And Governor Pritzker, and to say, we haven't lost residents. He's pushing the U.S. Census Bureau to give, correct updates and count the numbers correctly because they said people weren't counted in nursing homes, jails, homeless shelters.
Graves. Yeah.
I mean, do you think he's going to be successful in this?
No, the census is the census, and that's the actual count. What he's referring to is a survey that was done after the fact that identified potential problems in the actual census. But for the most part, look at the IRS numbers. I mean, it's hard to cheat on that. We see how many tax returns there are. They publish these migration numbers every year. You can see the taxpayers leaving, billions and billions of dollars of lost aggregate income that's gone out of state because of people moving. Those are down consistently year after year.
It seems to me there's an easy fix to these financial problems you outline. It's the old economist fix, right? You come to a ravine and you need to get to the other side. You just assume a bridge. We need to change our assumptions, and if we do that, we can wipe away all sorts of debt, as you wrote about recently. $25 billion in unfunded healthcare liabilities just wiped away if you just change the assumptions. Why don't we just change more of the assumptions?
Boy, is that suspicious, Dan. We're talking here about the obligation, the debt that the state has to pay for health care for state retirees, for pensioners. Most people don't realize this, but some of that health care is covered by the state. It's contractually obligated by the state. It's constitutionally guaranteed by the state. And it is the second largest debt category that Illinois has behind pensions. There's more of this than there is bonded debt in Illinois. Well, the actuaries came out a couple weeks ago and revised the numbers. Said, well, the numbers are kind of different now, so we're cutting this obligation in half from roughly $50 billion down to $25 billion. Why? Because they go through three different things. Gets a little technical, but boy, is it suspicious. When primarily they claim that the experience level in claims has improved, so we're not going to have to pay out as much. Now, understand, this is entirely a cash-based system. There's no money set aside like there is for pensions. This is just an outright cash obligation, pay-as-you-go basis. And, the experience level maybe went down because of the pandemic, where everybody knows that people weren't going to the doctor as often. Yeah. So this whole thing is very suspicious. And to go from 1 year to the next with a roughly 40% cut in the amount of debt owed ought to get some scrutiny. And so far, it hasn't been mentioned at all.
Can you tell us why our governor is in the United Kingdom? Because I'm scratching my head. I get the media alerts that he's, promoting Illinois on the world stage. What does that even mean?
These trade missions in ordinary times would be productive. There's a chance to do some deal making if you're really up to that. But seriously, is anybody really going to give a serious listen in Great Britain to choosing Illinois as a place to invest? Warren Buffett said it all a few years ago, when he said he's avoiding places like Illinois that have all this aggregated debt, especially his pension debt. He said, they're coming for your money. Eventually, they got to come in terms of taxes to try to cover this debt, and he wanted to stay away from those states. Big investors understand that, so I think it's a waste of time.
And speaking of which, having a hard time retaining the businesses that are here, some of the big ones, another relatively good-sized one, a rail car company named TTX, is leaving Chicago for North Carolina. And I know, of course, that's no big deal. Businesses come and go. We all understand that from Pritzker and Lightfoot. So it's no big deal when Citadel leaves. It's no big deal when Tyson does, or Caterpillar, or Boeing, or certainly TTX, right?
Yeah, it's a continuation of the same story. I mean, that was their headquarters. It's an important loss. And it just went after it, even in the segments that Pritzker has targeted for success and thrown a lot of money at, namely EVs and battery production for automobiles. He's batting zero on that. These huge plants go out of the states. Indiana's a particular winner, just won another multi-billion-dollar plant operation to build batteries. They're not considering Illinois. This is a complete failure, his reimagine electric vehicles plan. It's
and TTX in particular too. I mean, obviously, given Chicago's location in the center of the country, it makes sense to be a logistical hub, and yet you have a major rail car company that's moving to North Carolina. I mean, it just speaks again to the climate here, and also, I mean, I of course being facetious when I say it doesn't matter if these companies leave. It's it hugely matters, and a lot of these companies say, "Oh, well, it's just executives." Well, it's just executives. It's just a few hundred executives here and a few hundred executives there. I mean, how many millionaires have been created out of Citadel, and they send their kids to the schools, and they go to the restaurants, and they donate to C3s, and you start to lose billions of dollars in GDP and purchasing power on an annualized basis that compounds, it changes the landscape and the direction of your community, doesn't it?
Dan, what's most frustrating about this is the feedback you get on progressives on this. We hear this sometimes. All that stuff doesn't matter to the people, we're told. That's what, you wealthy folks and
Right.
Wall Street investors worry about and stuff. And they really don't understand that, don't care about it. It's good riddance in terms of Citadel leaving and all their millionaires. They just don't understand who the golden geese are that they're shooing off or shooting in the head.
Yeah,
And,
we can just we'll replace Ken Griffin and those Citadel folks and those Boeing folks with video gambling machines, with the casino. We'll continue to fleece the people that are least able to afford it, and that's how we'll prop this whole thing up. That sounds like a plan.
Yep, and pot sales. Yep. There is no revenue source that is growing here at nearly the pace that we would need to begin to honor our obligations. And that's the fundamental problem. Nothing is being done to change the underlying dynamics of all the things that put Illinois in the position that it's in.
He is Mark Glennon, WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm older and I have more energy, just like all the commercials that I see on TV. So it really is a help to my well-being.
I'm 80 years old. I clean up after 450 kids in the cafeteria for 3 hours, and then I clean 300 steps, and then I vacuum carpets and clean halls in 5 hours because for an 80-year-old, that's a lot to do. And I still have energy after work. I consider it a great success.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
America First with Sebastian Gorka. Today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Don't defund the police. Hire the police to protect your business. Rising crime has been crippling business owners in Illinois more and more in the past year. Blue Star Security can protect your most valuable asset, your business, to protect both you and your customers. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 500 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Barchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. Our team is exclusively state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals who provide the highest standards in security. We serve Fortune 500 companies as well as small businesses and individuals, responding rapidly and seamlessly to each assignment. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityltd.com. That's bluestarsecurityltd.com.
Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group. There aren't many people who would knowingly leave their job to start another job for a 30% cut in pay. And yet, people do it every day when they enter retirement. Why enter the exciting new chapter of your life with less money? Why trade the stress of work for more stress in retirement? Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help. Just call Tom at 630-934-1855 for your complimentary, customized retirement. It addresses many of the big questions you may have, like what to do about Social Security, managing your investments, and how to create income you can never outlive. You can downsize your house, but don't downsize your lifestyle. Get a complimentary, customized retirement plan at 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, RWA, an SEC registered investment advisor. RWA and Alpha Wealth Group are independent of each other. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
NSC spokesman John Kirby says taxpayer-funded abortion for members of the military, it's the right thing to do at 8:08.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A teen and several others hurt after a car crashes into a Hinsdale sub shop. CPS launches a new welcome center, and WIND's Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
An American in custody in North Korea. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It's a U.S. soldier.
The American was on an orientation tour of the Joint Security Area, the heavily fortified border point where soldiers from both sides stand guard. We've not been given any indication why he stepped across the line. The UN Command, an American-led multinational force set up to support South Korea, said it was without authorization and they are in contact with the North Korean army.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A little more than a month before the first Republican presidential debate, former Vice President Mike Pence still trying to qualify, just telling Fox.
We're running consistently third in most of the national surveys, so from a polling standpoint, we'll easily qualify. But getting 40,000 donors in just a matter of a few short weeks is a bit of a challenge.
Former President Trump remains the frontrunner in that race today in Florida federal court, the first hearing since he pleaded not guilty in the classified documents case. Today's the deadline. House Republicans set in the Hunter Biden tax case.
Attorney General Merrick Garland and U.S. Attorney David Weiss have been asked to submit IRS whistleblower testimony into the plea agreement proceedings by the end of the day. Whistleblower Gary Shapley has alleged that those in the Department of Justice, FBI, and IRS interfered with Weiss's tax evasion case against Hunter Biden. Biden's attorney has called the agent disgruntled.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. It's already 93 degrees in Phoenix on what will be a record-setting day, the 19th in a row, topping 110 as much of the South keeps baking.
It'll stay above 110 degrees through the weekend in Las Vegas, where tourists are doing what they can to beat the heat.
Walk outside for a bit, get too hot, go in, cool down, and repeat.
Record or near-record hot temperatures will continue this week, with forecast highs over 100 degrees in Dallas, with excessive heat warnings in place across the Southwest to South Florida.
That's Fox's Jeff Manasso. America's listening to Fox News.
63 degrees and sunshine at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. This morning, a convenience store was damaged by heavy flames in the Edgewater community. Fire spread to two storefronts. Firefighters were able to stop the flames from moving to the second story into apartments. A teen is among several hurt after a vehicle crashed into a sub shop in Hinsdale. Police say the 14-year-old was struck by a vehicle outside of Fontano's yesterday before it crashed into the eatery. The teen was taken to Hinsdale Hospital, then Comer Children's Hospital in critical condition. 3 others are hospitalized in serious condition. The FAA investigating after debris from a United Airlines flight was found in the backyard of a Chicago home. Plane arriving from Switzerland yesterday landed safely, but maintenance workers discovered the plane was missing an emergency evacuation slide. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing 8 former Northwestern University football players taking legal action against the school over claims that they were subject to hazing. The hazing scandal went public earlier this month and resulted in first the suspension and then the firing of football coach Pat Fitzgerald. Cubs lost to the Nationals 7-5. White Sox take on the Mets tonight. The news a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Bank of America is reporting a better than expected quarter. It was able to make more because of higher interest rates. The bank continues to see a resilient economy. Customers are still spending, though at a slower pace. PNC Financial's quarter was mixed. earnings top predictions, though its revenue number came in weaker than forecast. Wall Street will be reacting today to retail sales numbers for June. Peacock streaming subscribers will need to pay more. NBC Universal is raising the price of its ad-supported plan by $1 a month to $5.99. The ad-free tier will cost $2 more to $11.99 a month. Peacock is continuing to lose money, and it has been dealing with expenses for live sports and original content. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum is fired up.
You are a complete fool, and I would argue a complete coward, if you do not at least acknowledge and admire what was done to gain our independence. You are a complete coward if you decide that it's not worth celebrating 1776 and our independence.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Summer is here, which is the ideal time to brighten things up around the house and let the sunshine in. Make the rooms in your house that appear small, dark, or dingy look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors. Our highly skilled craftsmen can enlarge openings if your space allows. For decades, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Marvin replacement windows and doors can also bring your backyard right into your living space. Ask us about connecting the inside to the outside. When you welcome a Woodland sales expert into your home, you'll get a product expert, a design consultant, a budget hawk, and someone who has your best interest in mind. Our professional services, along with the best products and installation, are why we are proud of our great online reviews. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Edens, 32 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the junction. Kennedy inbound, it's an hour and a half from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. On the outbound side of the Kennedy, 21 to the junction and 44 back out to the big airport. It's an hour 10 on the inbound Ike from 390 to the old post office. Stevenson settling in at about an hour 12 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford and I-57 both jamming into the Ryan merge. In the tri-state with an accident on the left-hand shoulder on the southbound side between Route 137, that's Buckley Road, to right before Half Day near the accident site. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Air quality alert in effect today. Partly sunny for the afternoon. The high today at 80. It'll be clear tonight, low 63. Sun and clouds, more humidity tomorrow, the high 84. Showers and thunderstorms on Thursday, the high 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Warming up now, 70 at O'Hare, 68 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville creating a bit of a stir. He's preventing military promotions until and unless funding for abortion and gender reassignment surgeries is stripped from the defense authorization bill. The House has so moved, thanks to Tuberville's leadership. The White House is not so moved, pretty upset about it. They included in the defense authorization bill, and conservatives oppose it, and conservatives are prosecuting a culture war, but the left isn't. That's how that reporting goes. A good stand for Tuberville and congressional Republicans to make. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Before you answer that question, you better hear from National Security Council spokeshuman John Kirby, who explains to Phil Wegman in response to a question from Phil Wegman at Real Clear Politics why abortion is key to military preparedness.
Why is the new DoD policy on abortion critical to military readiness?
I'm really glad you asked that question. No, I mean, I really am. 1 in 5 members of the U.S. military are women, 20%. And we're an all-volunteer force. Nobody's forcing you to sign up and go. People volunteer to go. You raise your right hand and you say, I'm gonna do this for a few years or even for my life. And it might cost me my life to do it. And when you sign up and you make that contract, you have every right to expect that the organization, in this case the military, is going to take care of you, and they're going to take care of your families, and they're going to make sure that you can serve with dignity and respect, no matter who you are, who you love, or how you worship or don't. And our policies, whether they're diversity, inclusion, and equity, or whether they're about transgender individuals who qualify physically and mentally to serve, to be able to do it with dignity, or whether it's about female service members, 1 in 5, or female family members being able to count on the kinds of health care and reproductive care specifically that they need to serve. That is a foundational, sacred obligation of military leaders across the river. I've seen it myself, and it matters because it says we're invested in you because you are being willing to invest in us. You're investing your life, your family's livelihood with us. We owe you that back in return.
And the only way you prove you're invested in somebody is by saying, I'll pay for your abortion. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. The hysterics didn't stop there. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, imagine being assigned to a state like Alabama.
I have a son in the Navy. I think you all know that, and son-in-law too. They're both stationed down in Norfolk on destroyers. You know, and they're proud to keep serving their country in the Navy, but you know, the Navy told them where to go. You go where you're told. That's the way orders work. You go where you're assigned. You don't get to choose. And so what happens if you get assigned to a state like Alabama, which has a pretty restrictive abortion law in place, and you're concerned about your reproductive care? What do? Do you say no and get out? Well, some people may decide to do that. And what does that mean? That means we lose talent, important talent. And we're, again, an all-volunteer force. Recruiting is tough enough as it is with a very strong economy out there. We want to keep the people that we get, and we want to make sure that they can continue to serve. So it can have an extremely significant impact on our recruiting and our retention. Not to mention, it's just the right darn thing to do for people that raise their hand and agree to serve in the military.
What I hear him saying is like 1 in 5 in the military are females. And when they're all whores, sleeping around, not knowing about birth control options, and he really thinks that they're going to leave the army or wherever because they get pregnant and they're in a state that has restrictive abortion laws?
That assumes a lot. It assumes that women in the military are uniformly pro-abortion. I suspect that's not true. I mean, all this women's rights, always women's health. What about the women who are pro-life? They're not contemplated. Of course they're not, because Kirby is a hack. I'm sorry, the military readiness and preparedness, we've had a recruitment problem since when? Since you and Lloyd Austin and Milley and the Biden administration have decided to push your cultural agenda into the military. That's what has people leaving and veterans telling their sons and daughters not to sign up, and the Army missing its recruiting goals and so forth. That's not happened until recently. So if it didn't happen until recently, what's the delta? What's the change?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
That's a good advertising campaign instead of like, the classic recruiting campaigns, an army of one and campaigns like that. You can choose your deployment, but you can choose your gender. Join the Navy.
Oh.
Wasn't that what you just said? That's what John Kirby, NSC spokeshuman, just said. Sure. Yeah, no, these are dark times in the wake of the Dobbs decision and what's been done at the state level. What if you get deployed to Alabama?
Uh-oh.
What if you get deployed to Ohio, Georgia, Louisiana, Missouri, Kentucky, South Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, Florida? Wait, I love the Alabama. What if you get deployed to the backwaters of Alabama where what? Alabama's the only state to pass a heartbeat law? Iowa just did. I know it's being litigated. It's not being overturned, but it's litigated. It's being enjoined by a federal judge. So what? So it needs to be litigated. But this is being moved in more than half the country. Significant restrictions on abortion, and certainly on the public funding of abortion. There's even more opposition to that than there is, restricting abortion to first trimester or something like this. Partial birth abortions, late-term abortions. Continue. Speak on the topic in great detail, John Kirby. What is the commitment when it comes to providing abortion, when it comes to taking lives that we as taxpayers need to make in order to hit our recruitment goals for your military, John? No, I know. Dark times these days. And nobody wants to stand up. Oh, you don't want to offend these P-hats, women and male impersonators in wealthy suburbs around metropolitan areas. Oh, I know. Gosh. Let's continue to supplicate ourselves to the worst among us.
When did the left term abortion health care or put it under that umbrella?
From the
or
beginning?
Call it reproductive care.
From the beginning? Dark times. Yeah. The Babylon Bees on the job here.
Oh, what did they do?
Dark times since the Dobbs decision. That's the characterization. Oh my, we've regressed. We've gone back to primitive times in this country under Dobbs. That's what John Kirby is essentially suggesting. You're not forward thinking if you're not abortion on demand, all 9 months, taxpayer funded. And if you're a dude who wants to become a lady, we'll finance that too.
It's been 1 whole year since Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Which means they've been making abortion illegal all over the place.
So these are dark times.
These are dark times. Dark times. Dark times.
Un tiempo muy oscuro. Because now that Roe v. Wade is overturned, a woman can get pregnant just from having sex.
Oh my God.
I'm now seriously considering going down the dangerous path of abstinence until marriage.
I find myself in this really bizarre state where I'm asking guys about things like their values and trustworthiness before sleeping with them.
Before a girl will have sex with me now, she's asking me all these dumb questions like, do you love me? And what happens if I get pregnant? And do you have a job? Like, I don't know.
Abortion being illegal where I live has definitely raised the bar for which men I'll date and have sex with. And that's a terrible thing.
It used to be that if I got a girl pregnant, I would just force her to get an abortion. And I can't do that anymore. And that's awful.
I can't tell you how many first dates I've had in the last year where no sex happens. All we do is talk about who we are and get to know each other.
Ladies, if you haven't done it already, you need to get an IUD. This will make your uterus a toxic and hostile environment like it's supposed to be.
It's like now sex is such a bigger deal. It's not just about me.
So these are dark times.
Dark times.
Dark times.
The overturning of Roe v. Wade did this to me. The Supreme Court of the United States put this inside of my body.
Okay, so new idea here. I think that a man and a woman, before they have sex, need to draw up some sort of contract that says, I promise to take care of you and you promise to take care of me, and we both promise to take care of any kids that we produce together. I mean, like, I know it's new, I know it's shocking, I know it's out there, but that kind of contract is the only way that I see us moving forward.
That's marriage.
No, it's not.
Dark times. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Manny, Southside. Hey, Manny.
Manny.
Morning.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
Go ahead, Manny. You're on.
Yeah, isn't this the same party that pushed for vaccinations in every military person? I mean, wasn't that mandated? Wasn't that obligated? What happened to all the people, all the cadets that refused to vaccinate it and they stopped going? They refused to serve because of their vaccination mandates.
Right. Well, you're not. Thanks for the call, Manny. You're not allowed to make that choice. The only choice you can make in the military is on your sex. That's the only one. Otherwise, you follow orders because, of course, their commitment there. John Kirby will tell you that was an indicia of their commitment to your health by making sure you got jabbed, even though you didn't probably need to be. Yeah, sure. John, Portage Park.
Yeah, good morning. I'd like to say that I'm talking about service members like the soldiers' wives that have babies. And there's no way they would get an abortion because every time you have a child in the service member's pay goes up. It's kind of like welfare in that way. And like, let's say if you're living on base, they would give you a bigger place to live on base, which isn't so bad. It's like a gated community. So there's no way, unless you're the soldier that gets pregnant, the woman soldier that gets pregnant, that they would ever have an abortion. That's just what I have to say.
All right, thanks for the call. Well, I mean, there's other considerations beside pay. I mean, there are people that that get abortions all the time as birth control or because they don't want the kid, regardless of whether they get a bump from the federal government in pay or not. I mean, this is what we've had happen in urban centers is abortion used as birth control. And apparently that's a model that this administration and John Kirby believe is the right thing to do for our military.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention, your money is now controlled by the U.S. government.
Picture a world where your every purchase is monitored, tracked, and controlled by those in power to suppress the freedoms of those they see fit. Hi, my name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. And right now, I've become very focused on the impending rollout of the central bank digital currency. This is not a work of fiction. It's a terrifying reality looming on the horizon. But there is a bit of good news. I've partnered with Advantage Gold to offer you a solution. They are specialists in converting your traditional assets, like those inside an IRA or 401k, into tangible assets such as physical gold and silver. Don't allow your money to be controlled. Claim your free gold protection kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor.
Call 800-900-8000.
It's the Season of Discovery sales event at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Dan Proft here. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. No games and no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time incentives that only come around once a year. You can lease a 2023 Mazda CX-30 for $412 a month, or a 2023 Mazda CX-5 for $410 a month for 36 months, with approved credit through Mazda Capital Services for qualified buyers. Just add license, title, tax, and the $324.24 dock fee. Plus, stop in today and ask about the all-new 2024 Mazda CX-90. And to keep your Mazda running great all year round, schedule your next service appointment right there online at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. That's WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda is conveniently located in Elmhurst off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook downtown and Schaumburg. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com. See dealer for details.
What happens when America's debt bubble finally bursts? The dollar's value would be destroyed, along with the value of your 401k or IRA. And this would be a total catastrophe for the nation. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and the debt bubble is just one more reason why I recommend diversifying your retirement account into physical gold. Gold can preserve your savings through almost anything, and if you take advantage of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you pay zero penalties or taxes when you transfer your current retirement funds. To learn more, text the word HEDGE to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust. So text HEDGE to 989898 to request your free info kit on gold IRAs right now.
All right, if you're noticing new cracks in your walls or brickwork, sinking ground or concrete, sagging floors, gaps under baseboard, sticking doors and windows, well, guess what? These are all symptoms of structural foundation problems, and it's time to call Permaseal Basement Systems. All too often, homeowners ignore these signs and then experience even bigger problems later on, which in turn costs way more to fix. So call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325. You can rely on an honest, accurate, and free evaluation from Permaseal's trained experts. They've been in business for 41 years, A-plus rating from the BBB. For a free, thorough inspection, call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
Hi, this is Steve. I'm in Italy, away from my business. But I'm not worried about the office or my absence from it. I'm confident because I've got Turnkey on my side. They've helped me solve several problems for my business, so I can finally relax for a bit while I let the business work. Not only did Turnkey help with my IT problems, their expert team gave me a custom consultation that found additional profit centers in my company. They've helped me focus on a new direction for my business. It's not easy to relax when you own a business, but with our partnership with Turnkey, I feel confident, resolved, and ready to deliver. Now, I'm going to relax, have a Peroni, and depend on the direction Turnkey has helped me embrace. They can help your business too. Visit turnkey.pro to start a conversation today. That's turnkey.pro.
The pros at Turnkey share your values. They know IT and they know small business. They're Chicagoland's small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm older and I have more energy, just like all the commercials that I see on TV. So it really is a help to my well-being.
I'm 80 years old. I clean up after 450 kids in the cafeteria for 3 hours, and then I clean 300 steps, and then I vacuum carpets and clean halls in 5 hours, because for an 80-year-old, that's a lot to do. And I still have energy after work. I consider it a great success.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The Wheeler sisters from Springfield, Illinois, not the only ones providing pushback. A mom in North Carolina has a very good rant at her school board meeting. We'll start there at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, outside we have 70 degrees at 8:31, and a U.S. national is in North Korean custody. After crossing the border from South Korea, the man reportedly is a U.S. soldier. The UN saying he was taking a tour of the joint security area in the DMZ when he entered North Korea without authorization. He's not been publicly identified. The first pretrial hearing in the classified documents case against former President Donald Trump is set for today in Florida. Today also is expected to be another long day of investigators combing through belongings of the suspected Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann. District Attorney Ray Tierney.
The house is cluttered, and we're going to go inch by inch.
Detectives were inside the Heuermann home yesterday. Reports say police found nearly 300 firearms in a walled-off vault behind a door in the basement. Abortion once again legal for up to 20 weeks in Iowa after a judge blocked a new law banning abortions after cardiac activity is detected typically around 6 weeks. The state will appeal that ruling. Powerball jackpot reaching $1 billion after no grand prize winner in Monday night's big drawing. Also tonight, the Mega Millions drawing is through the roof with an estimated $640 million up for grabs. A teen is among several hurt after a vehicle crashes into a sub shop in Hinsdale, a 14-year-old in critical condition, 3 others in serious condition. There's speculation this morning that Indiana's Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers, may run for governor in 2024 in a crowded Indiana field. He announced yesterday he's stepping down as of August 6, which is the conclusion of his 2-year term. Chambers accepted the 2-year contract as a cabinet-level post in June of 2021, and he had been a longtime real estate developer. Chicago sports found the Nationals beating the Cubs 7-5, while the White Sox take on the Mets later on tonight. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now, Dan and Amy, 247.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees people freaking out.
The Supreme Court is falling off the pedestal it once built for itself, down into the muck of normal politics. They're squealing like stuck pigs because, lo and behold, the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action. Come on, you got to hire people based on the color of their skin, right?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
When my alarm goes off at 5:30, I'm out of the bed at 5:31. I'm a morning person. I know that it's working. I know that it makes me feel more energetic. It gives me energy to get up in the morning. And I like having that feeling of jumping out of bed in the morning. At my age, if you can jump any place, that's a good thing. I love it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills. Monarch assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Their quality skills assessor was once a plant manager who worked on manufacturing equipment, so he recognizes who has the skills to fit each job requirement. Monarch Technical now offers a 30-day free trial with any day one direct hire. This allows you to make sure direct hire employees are fitting in before fees are paid. And they have a unique payment option which allows the finder's fee to be paid in 6 equal monthly payments. So if you're growing your manufacturing team this year and searching for exceptional talent, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221. That's 847-342-1221. Or online at monarchtechnical.com. That's monarchtechnical.com.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Irish Spring. The fresh scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds. Just the reset you need to own the day. Irish Spring. When the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring at your local retailer today. We'll start on the Edens, 36 minutes, Lake Cook Road into the junction. Delays as well on the Kennedy, right now 81 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. To the Ike, where you're solid through the avenues, and a long travel time of an hour 12 from 390 into the old post office. I-57 inbound, there's an accident on the right-hand shoulder at 115. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Partly sunny in your forecast. Great day to be outside. High near 80, clear ends 63 overnight. 70 right now at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. School choice and parental rights, they're sort of, one is part of the other, parental rights, including choice. Wake County, North Carolina mom addressed her school board in a pretty good rant. One that definitely up there in the top 5 that we've heard over the last few years, I would say. And it's the same topics, a imperious school board that is imposing curricula and content that is at odds with the values of the families it was elected to serve. And you got a few parents that are willing to stand and deliver like this mom.
I've been really confused over the last 5 years as to why we spend 45 minutes to an hour of every public meeting talking about how great everyone is and how great everything is in the schools, and now I've figured it out. I figured it out because all these people came here to defend you all from hurtful words. This is obnoxious. Let me just say, there is one goal for the educational system. It should be to prepare children to enter careers to be productive members of society. It is not a counseling session. It is not a self-help area. It is not somewhere to find yourself, and we should not be led by the children, for goodness sake. The children are called dependents for a reason. They depend on us who have fully developed brains. You cannot feel your way through life. The issues that we are talking about, we are bringing you statistics. We are talking about scholastics. We are talking about funding. We are talking about busing. We are talking about trying to figure out how to make our children be as successful as possible. And I am sure that that is your goal. And what we have been called tonight is what they're claiming that we're saying to children. We're having an adult conversation. There are not children in this room. We aren't going into the schools and calling them names. They call us Marxists and hateful and bigots and everything else under the sun. Well, let me tell you, less than 5% of the entire population of North Carolina identifies as LGBTQ. You guys all claim you want democracy. Well, you know what democracy is? It's the majority plus one. It's 50 plus 1. You know what? More than 50% of the people in this state claim that they believe in God, Almighty God, who made us male and female, God who made marriage between a man and a woman, God who said that we must protect our children. The fact that we can stand up here and we know, we can brag about all of the wonderful graduations, but we know the statistics. 50% of children did not pass their end of grade tests. What are we celebrating? We have children coming up here telling us how horrible the mental health crisis is. Why? Most of us went to public school, and all of our peers are not in mental health crises. We have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to our children? I'm going to say we are discussing things with them that they are not emotionally, intellectually, and morally able to handle. That is what is causing the anxiety. That is what is causing the depression. That is what is causing the confusion. We need our children to be able to be children, to be able to be innocent, to be able to enjoy childhood and not know all of the drama and all of the difficulties in adult life. That is what we want. We want our children to be able to read and write and to think for themselves, and we demand that the children who fear God are protected in your schools.
Beep that's going off makes me want to
312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line 64636DA turnkey.pro text line, and then she closed with this line.
Time for honoring yourself will soon be at an end.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. But that first riff, I haven't really heard that before.
I haven't heard that argument before.
Well, I mean, I know the argument, but I haven't heard somebody make it in the context of their verbal assault on these Marxist school boards. Why are we spending 45 minutes to celebrate ourselves, and you bringing people in here to tell you how great you are, and you telling each other how great you are? Can everybody just dispense with all that nonsense? The performative honoring of everybody, and look at the actual product, what is coming out of the system, and focused on the exigencies of the day. Oh, you're so wonderful. You're more wonderful.
Well,
I mean, is there anybody who's ever attended any sort of governmental meeting with all that backslapping? It is completely obnoxious and insulting, just like that mom said.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
And by the way, she's right, too, about what she was talking about at the end. Of course she is. In terms of where children are, particularly in the primary grades. And remember, this is where the push is on. The NEA, the largest teachers union in this country, recommends asking preschoolers their preferred pronouns. The NEA's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer plus caucus, yeah, they have one, has a reading list for elementary school children that includes My Princess Boy, Jacob's New Dress, and in addition to all of the other books that we've gone over and over as they've popped up in all the libraries or classrooms at all these schools, including the government schools you think are still great in the suburbs, and they're not. As Erica Komisar, who's a psychoanalyst, writes in the Wall Street Journal, it's important children learn to accept differences, but indoctrinating them or promoting an agenda is another matter. Children develop at their own pace. Many aren't psychologically or emotionally ready to discuss or think about their identity. I've seen many young adolescents, she writes, overwhelmed by the need to know who and what I am in a heated and socially pressured environment. I've even had teen patients tell me that identifying as heteronormative, yes, they've been trained to talk that way, is stressful in an environment that idealizes being queer. The harm to children is physical as well as psychological, she writes. Medical societies and some schools promote off-label puberty blockers and life-altering surgeries for children and adolescents diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Seattle schools teach fourth graders that some people decide with the help of their doctor to take medicine or hormones to change puberty on purpose to better match their gender. That's a quote. And what do we know about this? We played the clip from that Mr. Potato Head, who's number 2 at HHS, Rachel Levine, who's a medical doctor, yesterday, saying, oh, first of all, it's not happening. And second of all, meaning puberty blockers and reassignment surgery for minors. That's not happening. But, it's the typical, it's not happening, but if it is, it's preventing suicides.
Well, Gays Against Groomers tweeted out after listening to Levine speak, a reminder that multiple gender clinics in North Carolina diagnose and treat toddlers with gender dysphoria starting as early as age 2.
Of course it's happening.
2. They claim that a child playing with toys that are marketed towards the opposite sex indicates, ready for this, that they are transgender. Well, Peyton used to play with an easy bake oven, but I didn't transition him into being a girl.
The number of hospitals that have been providing these medical abuses, they're not treatment. That's a big question. We went through this with Tucker Carlson and Asa Hutchinson yesterday per their conversation over the weekend. Is it treatment or is it abuse? Which one is it? It's not treatment. It's abuse. And it's happening to kids, and it's been documented at hospital after hospital after hospital. Mostly university-affiliated hospitals like Vanderbilt. So that's just wrong. But she also, Rachel Levine, he also has the science wrong. Of course he does. It's not science, it's ideology. And, of course, we're supposed to celebrate him. And we're supposed to all play this game that he wants us to play. A letter signed by 21 clinicians and researchers from 9 countries. For those, you're going to hear the science is settled. The science is always settled when they don't want to argue the merits of it. They don't want to include dissenting opinions. Well, 21 clinicians and researchers from 9 countries wrote this letter in response to the politicized endocrine society's claims about the state of evidence for gender-affirming, what they call gender-affirming care, what I call abuse for young people. Politicized Endocrine Society, professional association, just like the American Pediatric Association, politicized. They're political organizations, not professional ones anymore. This letter, every systemic review of evidence to date, including one published in the Journal of Endocrine Society, has found the evidence for mental health benefits of hormonal interventions for minors to be of low or very low certainty. By contrast, the risks are significant and include sterility, lifelong dependence on medication, and the anguish of regret. For this reason, more and more European countries and international professional organizations now recommend psychotherapy rather than hormones and surgeries as the first line of psychotherapy rather than hormones and surgeries as the first line of treatment for gender dysphoric youth. The claim that gender transition reduces suicides, claim you hear all the time, is contradicted by every systematic review, including the review published by the Endocrine Society, which states, we could not draw any conclusions about death by suicide, quote unquote. There is no reliable evidence to suggest that hormonal transition is an effective suicide prevention measure. But it doesn't matter, I know, because you're not dealing with rational people that are going where the evidence, the science, and the data lead. You're dealing with ideologues. That's what you're dealing with. And so this is the silliness you get. Ideologues who are in charge of these institutions. Matt, Southside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I think my favorite part of that lady's argument was we've heard about this democracy that we're trying to save ad nauseum. I love her pointing out about the lack of, about the 50% plus one, how most of the state does not identify as LGBTQ, and how most of the state believes in God. And I thought that was great. That was such a good point to point out as far as protecting our democracy goes.
Thanks for the comment. Although it's not a democracy, it's a representative republic, and she's clearly outnumbered by the board in her home county. That's how it actually works. It's not a plebiscite. You elect representatives to represent your interests, and on that score, we're losing. So maybe they're not a threat to our democracy, but they're a threat to our representative republic, and that's the actual form of government we have. And that's an indictment of the majority being driven into silence or even complicity by a motivated minority. Bill and Waukegan.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I just wanted to say that I would really find it very, very difficult to be raising children today. I love that lady. I don't know who she is, but I love what she stands for, and I'd back her up 100%. I mean, she said exactly what I would feel as a parent, and I would probably be a little bit more demonstrative in my argument, but I tell you, I am so grateful that I have 3 adult children. The only thing I feel really bad about is that my daughter gave me 2 beautiful grandchildren, and I worry for them. Those are the ones that I worry for, but I want to say thank you to you guys, and I love you guys.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
Something else, too. I mean, just even from those 21 clinicians I mentioned, the idea that psychotherapy is better than hormones and surgery. Okay, I agree, but there's a problem there, too. There's a problem in that profession. A clinical psychologist in New York City who has a good piece in the journal, the doctor won't see you now. Listen to what's going on in that industry, the American Psychological Association. We already know that things like traditional masculinity are seen as afflictions by these professional associations. Listen to this story. Patient came to a clinic where I worked a few years ago. He's looking for help with depression, but also told his therapist he was feeling frustrated after having lost out on a research fellowship. The patient was white, felt the reason was affirmative action. The therapist was Arab. A group of psychiatrists, social workers, and psychologists discussed the case at a clinic-wide meeting and came to a consensus. Confront the patient and tell them that if he didn't overcome his biases, he would be transferred elsewhere. They argued it would be unfair for a clinician of color to have to provide therapy to a racist patient. Is that science? Is that medicine? Is that abiding your Hippocratic oath? No, it's politics. It's ideology. So the idea that you can send your child, I mean, you got to choose wisely. Any medical professional these days, choose wisely. The idea that the psychotherapeutic or psychological profession is some refuge for kids dealing with gender dysphoria, hardly. But in terms of the actual science that they want to say is settled, like they always do when it's not, because it never is. If you're truly interested in science and scientific advancements, it's never settled. It's always challenged. You're always looking to refine it, always looking to try and get closer to perfection, which you'll never achieve. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
I wanted to thank you. I got a little bit of laugh. I was kind of half listening when they were talking about, how about a new concept? How about before a man and a woman agree to have sex, that they're gonna promise to take care of each other. It was in stitches because I had no idea what the topic was. But it's amazing that that concept is so alien to these people. And I agree what you're talking about. This is going to happen as long as evil persists when good men do nothing. And I really hope that people fight back on this. But it was, I just couldn't believe what was going on. And then I was listening to the rest of the show as far as, oh my God, this is the topic, and that's a new concept. How about the two people get in front of like their family and friends and then make that promise to each other?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
A
amazing?
wedding.
That's just crazy enough to work. Yeah, thanks for the call, Kevin.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When it comes to remodeling your home, are you picky, fussy, persnickety, particular, demanding, and just downright hard to please? Do you value quality over speed? Getting it done right over just getting it done? Well then, Mr. and Mrs. Persnickety, do yourself a favor and check out Forever Remodeling. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. To call us perfectionists would be understating our attention to detail. If you said we were OCD when it comes to creating spectacular kitchens, bathrooms, basements, and additions, we'd be guilty as charged. Forever Remodeling takes the time to meticulously get the job done exactly right. So if you're a stickler for details, if your standards are ridiculously high, then check out Forever Remodeling. We can promise you a best of the best of the best experience. Our number is 847-809-3355 or go to foreverremodeling.com. Foreverremodeling.com.
This is Ed Morrissey at hotair.com for Town Hall. Why are you harassing Twitter? Jim Jordan asked Federal Trade Commission Chair Lena Khan at a House Judiciary Committee hearing last week. That harassment began when Elon Musk brought journalists into Twitter to expose the federal government's censorship regime. The FTC tried to demand that Musk reveal his contacts with reporters in December after the first publication of the Twitter files, arguing that it could violate a consent decree protecting customer data. Now, an analyst at Ernst & Young has testified that the FTC attempted to pressure him into a negative report on Twitter to justify punitive action. Twitter parent X Corporation filed a motion last week to terminate the consent order over this corruption, leading to Jordan's question during the hearing. We now know that the censorship empire will not go quietly. A federal judge put a temporary halt to the federal government's suppression of speech and dissent this month. The FTC has shown its colors as Big Brother's enforcer, providing us a warning that authoritarians do not retreat easily. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
Dan Proft here. When it comes to health, there are numbers every man needs to know, including our testosterone number. I recommend going to Low T Center. They make it quick and easy to get your levels checked, and it's only $25. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll know your results in about 25 minutes. Low testosterone levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, can cause lack of motivation and drive. It can raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and loss of muscle mass. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Okay, I have a question. Do you want to eat more fruits and vegetables, but it's just too hard? Let me tell you about Balance of Nature. We all know that our bodies need a wide variety of fruits and vegetables to get the proper amount of nutrition. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies provides a colorful variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables. Your body will get thousands of phytonutrients from every capsule. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right. Unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, keeping an eye on the Safety Act. There should be rendering a decision or releasing it at 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, that will kick off the show tomorrow to be sure.
Yep. Thanks so much to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
A teen and several others are hurt after car crashes at a Hinsdale sub shop. A judge dismisses a bribery charge against ComEd. Kim Fox releases a do not call list of police officers. Cubs drop the opener against the Nats while the White Sox visit the Mets, and the Blackhawks ink Connor Bedard. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
There's a new U.S.-North Korea drama unfolding. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A potential